Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter Show, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorta, and I'm here with my co-host, England's adopted son, Joe Habib. And we got a great show for you today. And if you want to call in and ask some questions, you can call in right now at 323-870-3857. And we'll be here till about 9 o'clock tonight. And today, we're going to talk about Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz. They kick off their press tour next week. We'll tell you all about it. We'll tell you where they're going and all that other good stuff. And we also have some exciting news about the show we're going to tell you about in a little bit here. But first, we're going to get started with possibly the best pound-for-pound fighter on the planet right now, man. Vasyl Lomanchenko and Luke Campbell. They fought for Lomachenko's WBO and WBA and the vacant WBC lightweight title. Vasyl Lomanchenko wins a unanimous decision over Luke Campbell by the scores of 119-108 twice and 118-109. Pretty, it's, this is tough because as much as it was a one-sided fight on the scorecards, but it was definitely a competitive fight. Luke Campbell was always in the fight. He was always close, typically close on the rounds. He just wasn't winning the rounds. But he was in there. He was trying. He was punching. He never quit. Lomachenko, though, had Campbell just about out in the 11th round. It was a body shot that did the damage. And he had Campbell in trouble in the 12th round also. But Campbell weathered the storm, was able to finish the fight. Despite the scores, like I said, man, this was competitive. I thought Campbell did a very good job of establishing his distance, using his jab on the early going. But that being said, Loma gave him a lot of angles and was able to score off of those angles. I think he does angles better than anybody in the game, man. There was one time, I think it was maybe the 4th or 5th round, Lomachenko got inside, turned to the side, and smacked him. I mean, just right upside his head, man, right on the jaw. It was just, I'd never seen anything like it. He gets in, he twists, and he's almost like on the side of you as you're facing forward. He gets to the side of you. It's the way he moves, the way his foot movement, the footwork, everything is just, it's pretty amazing to watch. Lomachenko said before and after the fight he wants to unify the lightweight championship. Teofimo Lopez and Richard Comey will fight for the IBF title soon, and Loma is expected to get the winner. It doesn't sound like he'll get him next, though. There will be a fight. I guess he's going to have a fight in between that. But after that, then he's expected to contend for the undisputed lightweight championship, Beeb, what were your thoughts on this fight, in particular Lomachenko, and, what are your thoughts here?
To be honest, when I was watching this fight, the first 6 rounds to me was very intriguing. I had the fight pretty much even after the first 6. But then after the 6th, Loma pulled away. And when you think of Loma a lot, you think of a guy, obviously it goes without saying the technical abilities. The guy's just a very intelligent, cerebral fighter. And everyone knows that. But in this fight, he showed me, and he showed us, I think, that he had some dog in him. He had some dogged determinedness in him. And he had some dog, meaning he didn't mind getting in there and grinding it out. So this wasn't all finesse. This was a guy who realized that, it's almost like Marquez, because Marquez is known as that counter-puncher. And in a lot of fights you see he would lay back and be the technical guy, walk guys into counter shots, particularly Pacquiao. But then when he fought guys like Juan Diaz, he actually took it to him. When he fought certain guys like Casamayor, he took it to these guys. Like, he had no problem switching it up when he had to. And Lomachenko showed us that he's not just all flash and just basically a prototypical technical boxer. He can actually get in there and fight. And in the second half of the fight, he realized that, you know what, if I sit here and lay on the outside, wait for this guy to come to me, he's not going to come all the way in. He's going to use his length, and I'm giving him more of a chance to land on me if I wait on him. So he took that mentality away, and he decided to say to himself, I'm going to take it to him. And he took it to him, and he got inside. And when he got inside, he actually worked the body as well. So he fought a very smart fight in the second half of the fight. I think in the first half of the fight, he wanted to see what his options were. And then he realized, you know what? I'm giving this guy too much time. I'm giving this guy too much respect. I got to take it to him. I got to make him respect me. I got to show him that, I can get in there and fight. I can get in there and rough him up. I can get in there and go toe-to-toe when I have to. But the thing is this, too, I notice, and it was mentioned during the telecast by Bradley and I think Andre Ward, and I've said this before myself, that Lomachenko will sometimes stay in the center too long. And something that I picked up on Lomachenko, and again, this could be, maybe I'm being a little bit petty Roosevelt, if you will. But the thing is this: it's one thing knowing what somebody's gonna do, knowing what somebody does. And I've used this example 100 times. Nolan Ryan's gonna throw the fastball. Michael Jordan's gonna go to his right. He's gonna take off with that first step, and he's gonna go straight down the middle, whatever. All these things. It's one thing knowing, right? But to be able to stop it, even though it's going to happen, is a totally, entirely different thing in itself. So Lomachenko is always praised for his movement. And you even mentioned it, like how he steps off to the side, steps around guys. But one thing he does is when he attacks, and I've said this before, he always goes back to the center when he throws punches. He doesn't step off, he doesn't come on, like Pacquiao will come in on an angle sometimes, but Lomachenko will step off to the side, move side to side like this, move side to side, but when he attacks, he always comes in the middle, okay? And that's why a lot of times he'll get hit with those straight shots, because a guy will wait for him. He'll see that he stays there a little bit too long sometimes too. And this is only on offense. So that's why, if you noticed, he was getting hit with some good left hands from the outside, from Campbell. Because he'll come and he stays. He always attacks. He's always in center line when he attacks. I don't see him attacking from the angle. I see him moving out and then resetting and then coming in basically with an ambush attack. But he'll step off to the side, and he'll come back to the center, and then he goes in. I never see him dart in from the side. You know what I mean? I'll see him step around guys. Like when he's being defensive, he'll step around guys, he'll turn guys and stuff like that. But I always notice when he's punching, he'll turn a guy, come at this, but then he always works his way back into the center of the pocket, center line. And I'm gonna be honest. It's one thing me being able to see this, and it's one thing someone else being able to see this from the outside looking in. But you also got to time it when you're in there. And that's a whole different ball of wax right there. But what I am saying is, and I'm going to be honest with you, and I know people are going to be, what the fuck you talking about? But when I saw Campbell land those left hands flush, and again, this is a fight, you get hit, whatever. But I saw him landing some good left hands flush. Saw him landing some good body shots. I saw Lomachenko. I'm not going to say he was hurt, but I saw him buzzed a little bit. I saw him.
He was definitely hurt. He admitted he was hurt. Okay. Yeah, for sure.
Well, yeah, I'm sure he felt the punches. But when I say hurt, I don't think he was ever in danger of getting stopped, or he wasn't staggered. But you saw his head snap back a few times. You saw him freeze in his tracks a little bit. And I couldn't help but say to myself, Tank Davis. I find it hard to believe that Tank Davis would not be able to land one of those left hands if he fought Lomachenko. Now, obviously, don't get me wrong. that fight gets made, I'm going to favor Lomachenko. But I'm picking Tank to win that fight. I mean, call me crazy, but I find it hard to believe that Tank is not going to land one of those left hands. And I don't care who Tank fights, you could tell that there's something special about that left hand from Tank. Not even just the left hand, the right hook, but the left hand particularly. Tank can fucking punch. Without question, Tank can punch. And Lomachenko is an incredibly, incredibly talented fighter. Do not get me wrong. I am not taking anything away from Lomachenko. And these things that I'm saying, obviously I see them. But just the simple fact that I see them doesn't mean I could train someone and tell them, this is what's going to happen and make sure you do this, this, and this. Because it's a whole different ball game, because everything is, when you're in there, everything gets sped up, times 10. So whatever I tell you, you still have to be able to execute. But Tank is fast. He's explosive. And I just think that he's a very, very sharp, accurate, heavy-handed guy. I think Tank can beat him. I think Tank would have a chance to beat him. I would pick Tank to beat him. Because I just think that if Tank lands one of those left hands, it's a fight-changing punch. Because when Tank lands that left hand against guys, like Tank's left hand is I'm not gonna go as far as saying it's exactly the same, but it's comparable to Deontay Wilder's right hand, in my opinion. That's a stretch, some people may say, but watch when he lands that left hand, how guys just drop dead. And I saw Campbell have some good success with that left hand and landed it pretty flush at times. But Campbell just obviously doesn't punch like Tank. You know what I mean? So I gave Campbell 4 rounds. Most people gave him 2 or 3. I had it 116, 111. There's without question, I thought Lomachenko won the fight. But even during the broadcast, even Andre Ward and Tim Bradley were saying the fight was close during the first half of it. And maybe and to your point, maybe the rounds were close. He had moments, but you still could say maybe he didn't win them. And maybe some of the rounds I gave him, obviously the judges didn't see it my way. You probably didn't see it that way either. And you probably said to yourself, this round was competitive, but I still don't think Campbell did enough to win it. But he made a good account of himself in the round. But I thought the first half of the fight, I thought it was a close fight. And then Lomachenko just made a decision that, you know what? I'm going to take it to this guy. I'm going to get inside. I'm just going to sell out. I'm going to sell out and just do what I got to do. In other words, Lomachenko showed yesterday he'll do whatever he has to do to win the fight. He can make it pretty if he wants. He can make it gritty if he wants. But the thing I liked about Lomachenko yesterday is he took his lunch pail to work yesterday and he got down dirty and he fucking, he made a decision that I'm going to turn this into a fight. Enough with the friggin' high-tech bullshit. I'm just going to go in there and I'm going to fight this guy. I'm not going to say he threw all caution into the wind. Don't get me wrong. But you could see he gritted his teeth and he was really ripping those body shots in there. And he made a decision that I'm going to try and stop this kid. I don't want to outbox him. I want to stop him. And he almost did.
He almost did on a couple of occasions. I think that 5th round, he had him really hurt in the closing seconds. The 11th round, the 12th round, he had him hurt on multiple occasions there. I had the fight 117, 110 for Loma, as some of you did in the chat as well. Now, going back to the point, let me circle back here as far as Tank goes. This is very interesting. So Mike Coppinger just tweeted about 2 hours ago that Tank Davis has vacated his WBA junior lightweight title and will now campaign at 135 as he seeks to become a 2-division champ. So now he's in the same division, obviously, as Lomachenko. But again, that's a tough fight to make, number one, just promotion-wise. You have Comey and Teofimo next. They're going to fight. Lomachenko's going to get the winner of that. It's almost guaranteed, given the fact that both of them are top-ranked fighters. So Tank, could have just played a waiting game here. I don't know, but now as far as Tank beating Lomachenko, I would definitely. Does Tank have a chance? Of course, he has a chance. You know, you'd be silly to say that Tank doesn't have a chance in that fight. He absolutely has a chance. Would I pick him? 100%.
I would.
100%. I know you would. I wouldn't pick him, and I'll tell you, just based on competition.
I understand.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, based on competition alone, that's number one. The guys they have faced. When you put the two resumes face to face,
I can't argue.
Who would you?
I can't argue that. I can't argue against that, Eric. There's no way.
You know, and I think that too. If that's what we're banking on, Tank. Can Tank win a decision? We know that Tank can hit him. Can he win the decision? That I don't know. You know, Hamed 92 made a good point in here. Everybody talks about, you know, it was kind of like everybody talked about Lomachenko, that the whole Matrix and high tech thing, and you know, where he was unhittable per se. But we've seen him hit. Yeah. We've seen him hit by Pedraza. We've seen him hit by Linares, not put him down. Yeah. We've seen him hit by Campbell. Campbell hit him flush. Campbell's a big.
He gets hit with those left hands, Eric. He gets hit with those left hands. Linares hit him, you know, with the straight shots. He gets hit with those straight shots up the middle because he stands straight in that pocket.
Right. But Hamed 92 made a good point, and he says that Lomachenko is more of an offensive fighter than a defensive fighter. And if Lomachenko were to switch it up and go to defense versus offense, then you'd see, like, you know, I mean, they said, somebody made the comment that he's no Floyd Mayweather. He's not a Floyd Mayweather fight. There's only one Floyd Mayweather. There's only one Pernell Whitaker. He's not that
different approach too. Just a whole different mentality, different approach.
People always want to compare people to like Whitaker or like a Mayweather, and they're different fighters. You know, you got to give them completely different fighters. You know, so yeah, I mean it's different deal there. But yeah, I would take Lomachenko in that fight. I just think that he has, as far as the experience goes, obviously Tank has more fights, but as far as experience goes with high level fighters, you know, you look at his resume. I mean, it's tough.
I don't want to be a hypocrite, but I use resume at times. I mentioned it during the Anthony Yard Kovalev fight, but the way I apply resume though is, you know, Tank fought some good people. He hasn't fought guys like Lomachenko's level, probably not as many.
Yeah.
But he beat some good guys, like Cuellar is good, Pedraza is good, you know. Yeah. Beat some good guys, beat some solid guys. But a lot of times, in my opinion, because people were using the same argument when Tyson Fury, who has he fought? Who did he fight to prepare him for Vladimir Klitschko? But sometimes I just look at a guy and I look at how he dispatches the opponents, what he does with what he has in front of him. And Tank is just like destroying these guys. Like when I look at the eye, like I apply the eye test to fighters like Tyson Fury and fighters like Tank. So in certain situations, I will use the resume. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to be I'm sounding like a hypocrite here because I said it against Yard. But what I did say in describing why the resume was a good point to bring up with Yard was I watched him fight those guys. I saw what he did with those guys. And I wasn't impressed with what he did with those guys. I wasn't impressed with how he handled those guys. He made a lot of those fights tougher than they had to be. He made a lot of mistakes in those fights. You can watch a guy when he's in there against nondescript competition. Watch what he does in there, and then you can kind of say to yourself, "Wow, if he's in there with someone else doing that, what would happen?"
Does what he's supposed to do.
I've never had a moment like that when I watched Tyson Fury fight, where I said, "Wow, imagine if he did that. Imagine if he was in there with so-and-so, what would have happened?" I never had a moment like that when I watched Tank. Imagine if he was in there with so-and-so, what would have happened? Because those guys never gave me an opportunity to utter those words. Yard did. And that's right. Why I applied that, that logic and that, the resume thing there. I don't apply it here. And I mean, obviously you have to take it into account. You can't dismiss it 100%. There's no question about that. But I don't think it bears as much weight in this situation because of the eye test. And I just, when I watch Tank fight, I look at this guy and I just say to myself, this is a bad motherfucker. This is a dangerous motherfucker. This is a guy that really can hurt somebody. And that's the thing. And he can box too. Throws feints. He goes to the body. He sets the shots up. He's not sloppy. He's really good at what he does. He's a better technical fighter than people give him credit for. It's not like he's just going in there and mauling people. He's breaking these guys down. He's opening them up.
You think? Let me ask you, do you think he's a better technical fighter than Lomachenko?
Probably not, but I'm going to say something. Offensively, I think he's really good offensively. I think they're just different. They're different. They approach, they get there in different ways, in other words. So it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
When you say, is this guy more skilled than that guy? Well, Lomachenko could probably do more things, okay? But does that matter if the things that Tank does exceptionally well kind of erases all those things that Lomachenko does well, in other words? Because Wilder is as good a fighter as Fury technical? No. But that power kind of erases a lot of some of those things that Fury has. It's an equalizer. So Tank's explosiveness, his power, and I think he's more skilled than people give him credit for. So Lomachenko, skill-wise, is usually 10 miles ahead of everyone else. Now, in this instance yesterday, he wasn't 10 miles ahead of Campbell, but what put him over the edge was I felt as though he hit harder and he was faster. So Campbell was not on the level skill-wise, but wasn't so far off as everyone else. Okay, but where he did fall short was basically the power and the speed was different. You could see that Lomachenko was faster. You could see Lomachenko hit harder. Now with Tank, I don't think Lomachenko's faster than Tank. I don't think he hits harder than Tank. Is he more skilled than Tank? Yeah, you have to say so, right? Because you have to say so. He has more tools in the toolbox. You have to say that. But just because you have more tools in the toolbox, that doesn't mean the tools that I have aren't effective. You may have 10 tools, but I may have 2. It's like I said before. You take the hammer. One guy bangs it 3 times, another guy bangs it once. It goes in there. Some of the tools that Tank has, he's hitting the hammer once and the nail's going in. Whereas Lomachenko's got to hit the nail 3 times. But he still has more tools, but that doesn't mean to say that Tank's tools aren't effective. So I think Tank, I think a lot of times with punchers and guys who are explosive, like even Tommy Hearns, a lot of people don't talk about Tommy Hearns' boxing ability because his power overshadowed that. Now, was he a better boxer than Leonard? Probably not. But he was still a really good boxer. So Tank, I think, because I think his power gets talked about so much because he's blowing guys out. But I think what gets lost in translation is when you really look at and you watch how he's setting up the power. I think that's being overlooked. I see Tank throw feints, see him dip down. He'll dip down and get a guy to kind of react to the feint, and then he'll come over the top with the left hand. Sometimes he loops it. I don't think he's just a guy that just goes in there and blows guys out. Just as a steamroller type guy. I think he has the ability to really get creative with the offense and set up the shots, and that's what I like about him. I mean, once he gets a guy, he's an impeccable finisher. Once he gets, I'm gonna be honest with you, I think he's a better finisher than Lomachenko. I see him just he just finishes guys. When he gets a guy Lomachenko will get a guy hurt, and a lot of times the guy survives and he ends up getting stopped later. But once Tank hurts you, it's over. He puts you out. He finishes you. You know, it's like he's like a more. I think Tank is more relentless. I think he brings more pressure, and I think Tank has a way of imposing his will on people, and Lomachenko imposes his will on people in a different way, because you can't figure him out, and he breaks you down mentally because you get discouraged because you can't figure him out. Tank just breaks you. He just beats you into submission. You know, he just beats you up. Now, what would you rather do? Would you rather be like beat up and just destroyed, or would you rather get beat mentally? I think Tank like renders you unconscious. You know what I mean? Lomachenko just beats you into submission. Tank's more dangerous.
Well, Loma makes people quit. That's the other thing.
But Tank doesn't give.
And I mean, I think quick out of
But
frustration.
Tank doesn't give people the opportunity to quit. He just gets them out of there. Like, look at the Pedraza fight. I know you don't like the combat math, but I mean, he just fucking destroyed Pedraza. Destroyed him. Because once he hurt him, it was all she wrote. That's what I'm saying. So I'm saying to myself, if Tank lands one of those left hands, and I think it's a fight. It could be a fight-changing punch for him. Okay. I just wonder if Lomachenko would be able to deal with that. And another thing too is, imagine Tank at 135. I think that's a huge advantage for Tank because he wouldn't have to cut weight. I think he'd be stronger at 135. I think his power would be even more dangerous at 135. I think he's more scarier at 135. I think he's a better fighter at 135, in my opinion. And people, how the fuck can you say he's never fought at 135? The kid hasn't even grown into his man strength yet. If you give him another year and they fight at the end of next year, I think Tank beats him. I'm being totally honest with you. I think Tank beats him if they fight. Like, Mayweather's not stupid. They moved him up to 135, right? For a reason. They're priming him for Lomachenko. Lomachenko's not getting younger, and there's already talks of Lomachenko having some wear and tear on him. That was even mentioned last night. Injuries, wear and tear.
He's got 400, what is it, 400 amateur fights or something crazy like that?
So if that fight happens next year, would you admit that maybe Tank's chances increase a little bit?
Sure.
So
absolutely. Listen, I think Tank has a shot now. I don't. It's not like I don't think Tank has a shot. But if you put a gun to my head and said who's going to win this fight, I think Loma wins all day. I think he's just got more ways to win.
You have a good argument. I'm not going to discount your argument. I'm just saying I think they're smart, and I think they're going to wait till next year. And I would be. I would be so too. You know what I think this is like? I think this is like Canelo 100%.
Where they're going to wait. They're going to wait for him to
the result is going to be similar too.
A little bit, show some wear.
And the result is going to be similar too, because people are going to be like, everyone's like, Golovkin's going to destroy him. I was one of those people. Golovkin's going to destroy Canelo, and what happened? Yeah, it didn't happen. So I just think it's going to be a great fight next year if it happens.
So there we go. All right. Let's see here. So let's talk about this real quick. Teofimo Lopez and Richard Comey. Loma's been on record saying that he doesn't think that he thinks that Comey is going to win that fight. You think that Comey's going to win? I tell you what, man. I would have taken Teofimo all day in this fight until I saw his last fight. And I know he had a bunch of personal issues going on and everything like that, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he wins.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a close fight, man. If everything is back to normal, that's one thing. But yeah, he didn't look good, man. He didn't look good. He looked average. He looked average.
Yeah.
And he's never looked average. And that was a fight, to your point, that I looked at and said, man, could you imagine Lomachenko in here instead of the guy who was fighting? That was what, but prior to that, he never gave us that opportunity. Never gave us that opportunity because he was so solid, so flashy, so good. He almost reminded me of like a lighter Roy Jones, the way he goes in there. Just real unorthodox, boom, and it just tags you from nowhere. Yeah, didn't look like that. Kami's a good fighter. Hopefully Lopez will just have one bad outing and he'll be back. But, yeah, we'll see. And not even a bad outing because he won the fight. He won it pretty convincingly, but not the way we're used to, put it that way. All right, the undercard here. Huey Fury versus Alexander Povetkin, 12 rounds heavyweights for the PED Championship. Alexander Povetkin beats Huey Fury by unanimous decision by the scores of 117 to 111 on all three scorecards. Not a great fight. I don't have too much to say about this, but I do have a question. Does this put Povetkin back in the title talk?
Yeah. He'll get a title shot. He'll get a title shot next year.
Wow.
He'll fight somebody.
Now afterwards he called out Tyson Fury, which I think is a fight that's not going to happen. He's going to fight Otto Wallen here soon, Fury that is, and then rumored. I mean, according to Tyson Fury, he's going to fight Deontay Wilder in February.
I have a feeling that fight doesn't happen.
You know what? I got a feeling that fight doesn't happen.
And this time,
feeling.
I don't think Wilder wants it. No,
you don't think so?
Wilder
really?
wants to fight Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, that's the logical. Honestly,
or Andy Ruiz. He wants to fight the winner of that fight.
I mean, isn't that a logical fight though?
I said it right from the beginning. Why did he even?
Tyson Fury has nothing to give him. You know what I mean? There's nothing.
And again, I'm the biggest Tyson Fury fan on the planet. But did you hear the commentary last night? They were trying to justify that like he was a real champion, like the lineal championship is a real belt. They were almost talking about it like it was a real tangible belt, like it meant
that he retired for 3 years.
Like it meant something. Back. Like this guy went to the store and bought a WWE belt, wrote lineal on it, and he's walking around. It's like the NWO when they stole the WCW belt and they spray painted NWO on it and they made it the NWO belt. That's what that reminds me of. Like it's like ridiculous. Yeah. Oh, he's this, he's that, and he could. I think he is the best fighter in the division. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to call him a champion. It's not a champion. They were talking like he's the champ still. He's not the champ.
Yeah.
He's not the champ. He retired, and if he didn't retire, he was going to get suspended, and he already got stripped, and he was going to get stripped, and he was going to get suspended. I already said that. So the way they talk about Fury, and I love Fury. I'm the biggest pom-pom waver for Fury in the world, but I'm not delusional. He's not a champion. He's not a champion. And they were talking about the lineal champ, like it's a real fucking title.
It's the only title they have on that network, though. I mean, as far as the heavyweights go, I mean, they got to talk about something. It's their guy, but you're right. It's not a real title. Number one, it's not a real title. Number two, again, he was out for a number of years and then he comes back and then he still lays claim to it. You can't do that. The sport moves on, So,
and
yeah,
the way
I don't
he
know
went
that
out
fight's
was his own fault.
Sure. Yeah,
I mean, technically, he shouldn't have even fought Klitschko. He failed the PED test before he got to the Klitschko fight, and they allowed him to fight.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not right. But hey, I mean, he's back. Whatever, that's great. But yeah.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that Alexander Povetkin could essentially fight Tyson Fury next then after Volkan?
Well, technically they said that according to Fury that they offered Povetkin the fight and Povetkin turned it down. I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, I do too. Who's the mandatory for that lineal belt?
I don't know, man. And I agree with Dale in the chat. Ward is the only listenable guy on that broadcast.
He is. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that crew is horrible.
Joe Tessitore is really bad.
Kriegel, Mark, I cannot.
We're going to talk about Kriegel later. I'm
Kriegel.
sure we're going to talk about that other fight too, the Charlie Edwards fight.
Oh my God, he's terrible. And then Tim Bradley is just horrible. He was the one that said in the fifth round, I think it was in the fourth or fifth round, what did he say? That Campbell's quitting in the fight. He said he could see by his body language he's in survival mode.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Shut up. You know?
So now, anytime a guy's in trouble, automatically, he's going to quit. That's the narrative that they're trying to portray now. Because other guys quit against Lomachenko. Like okay, whatever. That's not going to happen every time out. You know what I'm saying? Like he doesn't have this will over people that he can just make them submit anytime he wants. Are some guys going to break down and not want to continue? Probably. But just because you hit a guy, every time a guy gets hit with a clean shot, right then and there he's breaking down. He looks like he's going to quit. He's going to pack it in, and he's going to pack it in a couple rounds off one shot. And then every time he landed a big shot, yeah. I think he's going to give in. I think he's ready to cave. And they said that he said it like 20 times during the fight. It's like that was back to the old HBO days when they were trying to sell you something that wasn't happening, but they just wouldn't let it go. You know, Lampley was big on that. You know, if a guy was perceived to be a certain type of fighter, and he was a knockout puncher or whatever. That was a good shot. He looks like he's ready to go. No, Lampley, he just got hit with a punch. What do you mean he's ready to go? Like they just try to sell you a narrative that they want you to believe, but it's not there. So because he's no Lomachenko, and he said that on ESPN. Now they're trying to build him up as this guy that makes everybody quit. And when it doesn't happen, they're going to try and say it's going to happen. And it's just stupid.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
They ought to get, they really ought to get like Kellerman on there or something. I mean, somebody. And when we're calling for Kellerman.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about Kellerman either, but he's better than those guys.
There's something wrong. And what about Lamb? I'm getting Lampley and Kellerman back on there, and Andre Ward. I mean, those guys are really good. Tim Bradley's
really
terrible.
bad.
Tessitore I can listen to Tessitore. He's all right. He's not that. I mean,
but he's a cheerleader. He's the biggest guy trying to sell that lineal thing. Like he's just he's a shill to me. I don't know.
But I tell you what, man, Tim Bradley's got to go. He's horrible. Him and Kriegel both take the train.
And Kriegel made he just takes everything so far. Like he's just so dramatic.
Yeah, I think that's the thing I don't like about him is that it's all drama with him. He tries to make everything this big human interest piece, like their lives are depending on it and the world's going to end if this guy loses. I hate him. He's terrible. Not everything needs to be this human. You could just talk about the fight. I don't need to know where this guy comes from.
Yeah.
Or anything like that. Dude, just talk about the fight. The fight is good enough. We don't need to hype the fighter. The fight
I know we're going to talk about this later, but this is one thing that really irked me about Kriegel yesterday. The Martinez-Charlie Edwards fight, and what he said afterwards, he was like, that was a dirty punch. It wasn't fucking intentional. It wasn't intentional. It was in the heat of the moment, and it happened. And he tries to put a spin on, that was a dirty move, dirty punch. I'm glad, there was no way that fight should have went Martinez's way. That was a dirty action by him. So he wasn't fucking dirty. Who are you to sit there and character assassinate a guy like that? You don't know what his intentions were. Right. I didn't think it was dirty. I just think it was the heat of the moment.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. And let's talk about that fight because Charlie Edwards versus Julio Cesar Martinez for Edwards' WBC flyweight title. Edwards is pretty lucky after that, man. I tell you what, because Martinez was stripping this guy, man. He was wearing him out. In the third round, Martinez dropped Edwards, but then hit him with a liver shot while he was on one knee. The bout was called a no contest, and a rematch will be ordered by the WBC. I'll tell you what, I don't care how many times they order this fight, Charlie Edwards ain't getting past that guy. His style is all wrong for him.
Well, I wasn't a huge fan of Charlie Edwards anyways. I don't know. I just didn't see anything special in the kid, to be honest with you. I mean, obviously he's a world champion. He's a decent fighter. He's not a bad fighter, but I just thought that his style wouldn't match up against a lot of the champions up there. I thought he would have problems.
Yeah, for sure.
So
for sure, but
But the thing is this: Kriegel credit to the WBC, because boxing for the first time stepped into the 21st century yesterday. You know, they finally did the right thing. So many times in situations like that, with controversial events happen, usually the wrong thing happens. Usually something will happen like that, and it will go unnoticed. A guy will get hit low, a guy will get hit after the bell, and a lot of times the referee will miss it, whatever. But this time, you know, they used instant replay, and the WBC actually stepped in and did the right thing. And you got to give them credit.
Yeah,
now, were they worried about those 18,000 people starting a riot? Maybe. Did that have anything to do with the decision? Possibly. But, you know, a lot of times, you know, we see things, the fan and the crowd sees things, and the referee just misses it. And the opportunity for instant replay would have been so beneficial in the past in a lot of situations. Finally, it was used. It was used effectively, and it was used to make the right call. And we got to applaud the WBC for doing what they did yesterday. So,
yeah, I think so. I think that was a good move, man.
And even Suleiman said it after the fight. He's like, you know, I saw it. People at home saw it. And then he made a point to say these 18,000 people in the crowd saw it. Meaning that he almost like, you know what, if I don't overturn this, I don't know if we're going to be able to get out of here alive. But you hear the booing and everything? That was nuts.
It's crazy, man.
And then Martinez was getting ready to leave the ring. The security said, "Oh, let us walk you out." They didn't want to let him leave by himself.
Yeah, he wasn't leaving by himself, man.
Oh yeah.
My gosh. H Money is in the chat talking about Devin Haney. Speaking of Devin Haney, Mike Coppinger tweeted yesterday that he'd love to see Lomachenko versus Devin Haney next year. Devin Haney responded and said, "I could beat Loma point blank, period." That's who I think. I think if anybody's got a real shot is Devin Haney.
Really?
I do. I think Devin Haney is the guy, man. I really do. I don't see too many flaws in him. We always talk about the eye test on here. You alluded to it earlier, and that's the guy for me that does pass that eye test. He looks like the next guy. You know what I mean? Not the next guy in this division or that. He looks like the
There's
next
potential
guy.
there, without question.
Yeah. You know, when you watch him, you think of like the first time you saw Floyd Mayweather or Pernell Whitaker or like a Roy Jones. He's got that. And that's when you look at it and you're like, yeah, man. And you watch him fight and you watch him take guys out. Just the way he wins those fights. In a couple of years, he's going to be the guy. Just like when I saw Errol Spence for the first time, I knew he was going to be the guy in the welterweight division. You just knew it. I mean, there was no question about it. And that's not to take anything away from Terrence Crawford, but Terrence Crawford didn't strike me like that the first time I saw him. Errol Spence did. You know. So
all of us have that eye test type situation sometimes. So we're put in that eye test scenario where we look at a guy and we're like, wow, there's something about this guy that makes me think that he's special. And Haney does it for you.
Andre Ward was one of those guys.
Tank kind of does it for me, to be honest with you. I like Tank. I really like Tank as a fighter.
Yeah. Tommy Hearns for me when I first saw him when he beat Pepino Cuevas. That did it for me. I knew right then that guy was the guy. He was the man. You know. And I see the same things in Devin Haney. So I know H Money's talking about Devin Haney or whatever, but I think that Devin Haney could beat Lomachenko. I really do. I think he would. I think he beats him. I really do.
Not
right now.
But
no, not now.
Yeah, I got you.
Very close, man. Let's see here. Joshua Buatsi. Now, Beeb, I didn't catch this fight, but Joshua Buatsi versus Ryan Ford, 10 rounds light heavyweights. Buatsi's another guy who's coming up. I think he's got 11 or 12 fights now, and KO'd Ryan Ford with I think it was a body shot in the 7th. Wasn't it a body shot? How does he look to you? How does he compare to Anthony Yard? I thought Anthony Yard was good, but I didn't think
see my tweet, did you?
I
tweeted out after the fight. I said Joshua Buatsi has more natural talent than Anthony Yarde, and he's going to be a threat someday in this division.
Hopefully they don't rush him. No,
he said that he does not want to be rushed. He said it right after the fight. He said, I'm taking baby steps. He said, no disrespect to Anthony Yarde. He said, but he goes, when I fight for a title, I want to win it. I want to make sure I have the best chance to win it. He said, full credit to Anthony Yarde, but he said, I want to make sure I'm prepared. So he had 11 fights. I think yesterday was his 12th fight, if I'm not mistaken. So when he was being interviewed after the fight, he didn't seem like he was in a rush. And he seems like he wants to still learn and get better. But what I like about him is, again, the eye test. People criticize him. He doesn't say he doesn't move his head well, blah, blah, blah. But what I like about him is he sets punches up beautifully. He's a very, very fluid combination puncher. Going back to what I said, what Anthony Yarde needs to do, place the shots. He does that. He places shots. Not everything is a fastball. He'll throw a curve and a slider in the combination. So it's like he sets up his punches beautifully, doesn't load up, and he'll throw a punch to create an opening for himself. He'll throw the hook, get the guy moving to that side. He'll step off and then come over the top of it. Like the way he just sets these shots up, and the way he set that body shot up yesterday was beautifully. Now if that was Yarde in there, with all due respect, he would have went in there and just tried to bum rush the guy and just keep throwing headshots. Probably would have took Yarde longer to get him out of there. You know what I mean? Whereas Buatsi broke the guy down and set the shots up and did it in style. He did it in style. So I stick to my guns on this. I think Buatsi has more natural talent, and he's more of a boxer than Anthony Yarde. And I like Buatsi, and I think he's going to be a world champion someday. I do. And
that's my biggest thing. I think that, and to your point, and that I think that there's been this Lomachenko syndrome, where in the third fight they're fighting for titles, and then
you said it before.
I know Anthony Yarde has had 18 fights. Listen, you remember back in the day when 25 was the threshold. At least you had 25, and that was still young.
Then it went to 20. Then it went to 20. Now it's at 16.
Yeah, so I tell you what, man, these guys aren't getting the seasoning I think that they really need to carry any longevity here. And I think especially with Anthony Yarde, I mean, you got to think that maybe a couple of more fights in would not have hurt him.
Yeah.
Against Kovalev. A couple more fights.
I was vehemently against that fight.
Yeah, I didn't care for the fight.
I kind of...
Now, I picked Yarde in the fight, but because I'm figuring, maybe they know something I don't, but clearly
I'm going to give Yarde a ton of credit because he sold the fight to me. He made me he made me interested in the fight when I wasn't. So I'm going to give Yarde credit in a lot of areas, in a lot of ways. Number one, he almost had Kovalev out, and it almost made me eat my words, which I would have been happy to do without question.
Yeah.
Number one. And number two, the way he was talking and stuff, I said to myself, well, at least he's gonna bring it. At least he's gonna try. At least he's gonna go out there and leave it all out there. You know what I mean? And I wasn't.
Yeah.
And when the fight was first announced, I was like, oh, this is kind of a dumb fight. With all due respect, I just didn't think it made sense at the time. And then as time went on, listening to him talk and the way he's trying to sell it and this and that, I was excited for it. And then the week of the fight when I heard he didn't spar, then I was like, oh, what the fuck. But then once the fight does come off, I get excited. I'll sit there and trash a fight, but I watch it, and then I still get those jitters the week of the fight. And certain fights I'm not crazy about, but as time goes on, I'm I'm a degenerate fan, so I mean,
exactly, man. I think that's kind of like you said, that's the cool thing about it is that like, you get to fight week and we'll hear these fights and like, why would you make that matchup? That's so crazy. Fight week comes though. All of a sudden you and I start getting more and more excited about it.
Let's break this down. Let's break this down.
And then, we start making cases for both fighters winning that fight. And it's like, next thing you know, I can't wait to see it,
Rafael says that that Yard does spar. And we kind of thought that he did too. We didn't believe it when they said he didn't spar, but just the simple fact that they put that out there, what good does that do?
Yeah. Yeah, it puts a lot of pressure on you at that point. It doesn't.
It makes a trainer why would a trainer say that? Because it makes him look bad. It makes him look inept and incompetent, right?
Makes him look like a moron. Yeah, exactly, man.
That's like a math teacher saying, we don't actually do math problems here.
Right.
We just give the kids the answers. We just give the kids the answers. We don't have them do the problems. We don't even give them books.
I'm waiting on a text from my wife now because we're talking about math teachers.
Lisa, I'm sorry if I said anything that's not politically correct. Please forgive me.
All right, let's talk about the Fox card, man. Erislandy Lara versus Ramon Alvarez, Canelo's older brother. 12 rounds for the vacant WBA regular junior middleweight title. We talked about this beforehand. Let me go. Let me tell you about the fight, and then we'll talk about how in the world that Ramon Alvarez was ranked high enough to get a shot at this title. Erislandy Lara wins via second round TKO over Ramon Alvarez. This was clearly not Alvarez's best outing. He had quite a bit of weight issues prior to this fight, so much so that Francisco Santana, a friend of the show, by the way, was flown in just in case Alvarez could not make weight. I believe he was like 4 pounds over at the weigh-in, and Lara said, it's all right, let's fight, which was probably a good decision. This was probably one of the worst I've seen Alvarez look. He looked very slow. He was dry when he came in. I think that weight cut or lack thereof really took its toll. That's not to say that I think he was going to win the fight, but I expected more from him. I expected a lot more from him. Manny Gatillo in the chat was joking and says that Ramon Alvarez is one of my favorite fighters. Ramon Alvarez is actually one of my favorite fighters because he always comes to fight. He always comes to fight. He always comes to bring it, man. He's always in a good fight. He's always in a good fight, man, because he's going to come out and he's going to slug, and it's going to be exciting no matter what. But, this was not one of his best moments out there.
Eric, no.
Joe Lopez said that. I'm sorry about
Eric,
that.
no offense. I just
how dare you.
I don't know how you were excited about, like, you were like,
you weren't excited about this fight? Really?
Not at all.
Man. You didn't think that he was going to put up a
not
better
at
fight
all,
than that?
Eric. No.
Oh, how dare you.
Eric, do you remember the Brandon Rios fight? How could,
that was a long
Eric,
time ago.
How could that not have been fresh in your mind? when this matchup was made.
Georgie Porgy says the Mexican and Eric have spoken.
Oh my God! But hey, listen, whatever floats your boat. I'm not going to tell you. You may like strawberry. I like chocolate. Whatever. I mean, whatever you like, man. I'm not.
Chavez Sr. is one of my favorites, not Chavez Jr., by the way. But man, he got rung up here, man. I thought that if they would have put Francisco Santana in that fight, which he got flown out there and everything, man, he was ready to go. I don't think that would have ended. I think Lara beats him too. I mean, he's coming up in weight. It's not a very good matchup. I mean, I was excited about the opportunity for Santana. Would have got a title shot at 154. Now, would he beat Lara? Yeah, probably. Man, that's a tough order. That's a tough ask. But that being said, now Lara's definitely, on the darker end of his career. He's turning that corner for sure. But he is still dangerous. He's a dangerous guy. You're not going to have if you're an up and coming fighter, man. I still stay clear of that guy.
Yeah, you don't fight him if you don't have to fight him. He's not going to bring you a huge payday, you know. Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
I got a matchup for you. James Kirkland versus Ramon Alvarez.
Oh,
That's a good one.
How do you not like that one?
Who wins?
That's an awesome fight. That's an awesome
Who
fight.
wins? Because Kirkland's been out for a while. Fights.
You got to take
Alvarez, right?
Busier.
Yeah.
Just busier fighter. Kirkland's still strong, but Alvarez is a busier fighter, man. That's a good fight.
Good matchmaking.
That's
good matchmaking from the Beeb.
Great matchmaking from the Beeb. Are you kidding me? Right. That was perfect. I love it. Love it. Who's next for Lara?
Oof. Do you think he fights the Harrison Charlo winner? Because that's what he said he wanted.
I think that makes the most sense. I really do. Because I think he gives either one of them problems. I think he beats Harrison. And I don't know if he beats Charlo or not, but he gives Charlo a lot.
I would pick him over Charlo.
I you know what? Yeah. That's a tough fight for either guy.
Yeah.
That's a tough fight for either guy. And I wouldn't mind seeing him rematch. I
don't hate that fight either.
I wouldn't mind that. No.
I don't hate that fight at all.
Georgie Poirier says Lara's a washout. He's past his prime. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I don't think he's washed. He's definitely not washed, but he's definitely past his prime in the sense that, like you said, he's turning that corner. He's not like completely done.
No.
You know, I mean, because still, look what he did last night. He's still a dangerous guy. Man.
He's not done.
Yeah.
Don't make the mistake of thinking he's shot.
Jason said that Lara Hurd and Lara Charlo both solid fights. I agree.
Without question.
I couldn't agree more. Those are
there's no reason to complain about either one of those fights.
No. Those are both really, really solid fights. Let's see here. On the undercard, Sebastian Fundora versus our boy from Titletown, Jamonte Clark, 10 rounds, junior middleweights. Listen, man, this was a close fight, man, but in the end, it was a split decision draw. The scores were 98-92 for Fundora, which, come on, man. That was not a 98-92 fight. 96-94 for Clark and 95 up even. Man, I thought Clark won that fight. I really did. I thought Clark won that fight. I thought he threw more punches. He landed more punches. I just thought he won, man. I thought he did. Right? Yeah. I mean, I don't think it was a blowout. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it wasn't a blowout. Both guys were getting in shots. But, yeah, man, I thought that Clark won that fight. There's something about Fundora, though. He's a unique fighter to watch because of his height. But with that being said, man, there's nothing about him that I see that's, like, overly impressive. Yeah. Like, when I watch him, there's nothing that really stands. Like, for a guy that tall, you think about like a Tommy Hearns or something like, and not that Tommy Hearns was that tall, but you think of him utilizing that height, jabbing that other guy to death, maybe dropping that right hand.
Loops everything. Loops everything.
Everything.
Throws nothing.
He does
nothing straight. Nothing.
No. And I don't think, I maybe I'm wrong, man, but I don't know that he's got much of a future in that division. Clearly, he's not going down to 147. So, man, do you think he has? When you look at him, and we talked about the eye test, does he have a title run in him?
Eric, he fails the eye test.
He got a 65, so he's out.
We tried to scale his grade, but he still failed it.
We tried to put the curve in there and everything, and he's still done.
He failed.
Yeah, I thought Jamonte Clark.
We gave him the opportunity to go home and do extra credit. He still failed.
He just came back in with none of it done. Frank Sanchez versus Victor Bisbal. Beesball, maybe 10 rounds heavyweights. Frank Sanchez wins by TKO when Beesball wouldn't come out for the 5th round. Beesball was in terrible shape for that fight. And Frank Sanchez moving, to 12 wins or something like that? Something like that. Ohio Runs Boxing in the chat. Love it. OH. There we go. Let's see here. This one, our train wreck of the week, man. This is nuts. Let me see. You know what? Hang on one second. No, I got rid of the sound clip. Oh, wait a minute. No, I didn't. Hold on here. Let me see if I can. Let me see if we can run it here.
Who the fuck is Jeff Horn?
I had to do it, man. Jeff Horn versus Michael Zarafa. This was, So Michael Zarafa shocks Jeff Horn. Not only did he win the fight, but he stopped Jeff Horn in the 9th round. Horn was down in the 2nd and the 9th rounds. Jeff Horn was expected to win this fight handily and then go on to face Ryota Murata in Japan on December 23rd. That fight now goes by the boards. Michael Zarafa was the one that Kell Brook fought. Who else fought Zarafa? He hasn't. I mean, he's kind of like a journeyman kind of guy.
Peter Quillen fought him too.
That's right. Peter Quillen fought him. I mean, he's like, so they set him up. I mean, this was a setup fight. He went in there and got stripped in his hometown. I mean, they're both from Australia, but still, he was expected to win, and not That's good, bananas. Man. Not good.
Yeah, Kell Brook fought him too. That's right, Raphael.
Kell
Brook didn't look great against him either.
No, but I tell you what, man, I didn't expect that. You know, I didn't expect him getting beat like that and stopped. I mean, it's one thing if you drop a decision or a close decision or whatever, or disputed, but he was dropped in the 2nd round. I think he found his footing in the mid rounds, but then just completely gassed out.
That was like
yeah.
That was like fatality
crazy,
victory.
Man. Yeah, fatality. Yeah, exactly, man. That was nuts. That was nuts. That's what that was. All right, let's talk about before we move on to the upcoming fights, and actually before we even go to the phones here, we want to talk a little bit about what's coming up in our future here, and we're all pretty excited about it. We'll be taking our show to Fight TV in the very near future. Now, this will not change the way we watch our shows. You can still catch us here on YouTube and everything like that, but you'll also be able to catch us on Fight.tv. And what this will do is just give us more exposure and that kind of thing. And it's an opportunity we're really, really excited about. If you go there, they Fight TV, if you haven't heard of it, they do all kinds of like MMA, they do boxing, they have deals with Top Rank, and all the fights that are on pay-per-view and stuff like that, you can watch them there. Like the Pacquiao Thurman fight was on there. They have a deal, like I said, with Top Rank, so they get those fights on there and everything like that. So it's a pretty cool channel, and it's nothing but combat sports on there. So we will be going live on there in the very near future again. Now there'll be a little bit of change in our format. Our shows will go from 7 to 9, and we'll be out at 9, so no overtime. So the calls, so it's like when we get calls and stuff like that, we may have to cut them short for time constraints and that kind of thing. So that's just one of those things. Overall, I think it's a great thing for the show moving forward. Also, too, we'll be working on a different format in the coming weeks that should fix some ongoing quality issues we've been having. So, yeah. So, Beeb, any thoughts on this?
I'm pumped, man. I'm stoked.
I am too, man. I think it's a really good thing.
I'm really excited.
Really cool thing. If you guys haven't checked out Fight TV, go check it out. And so, yeah, we'll be doing a lot of shows. We're doing shows for them also. So there you go, man. So it's exciting, man. That's really exciting.
Really is.
New format changes coming up as far as like the programming and stuff like that. It's a little bit different. We're going to change from what we have now to a new production software, which I'm pretty excited about. So yeah, everything should be good, man. Everything should be really good. So for right now, let's go to the callers. Let's see what we got. We have, let's see here. 312. I think this is Chicago. 312, you're live.
Fight Doctor's in the house on Rick James status as always. What's going on, gentlemen?
Fight Doctor, how are you?
Doing well.
Good.
So, Beeb, I have to disagree with you, which is nothing new, but you are incorrect on Leonard being the better boxer between he and Hearns. Hearns was the better boxer. We've seen them fight twice. Both times we saw Hearns outbox Leonard. The only reason why Leonard won the first fight is because Hearns was chinny. Okay, but Hearns was up on the scorecards in that first fight. And we saw Hearns outbox and beat Leonard in the rematch, but get robbed on the scorecards. So just wanted to point that out fight. That you say what?
He was definitely robbed in that second fight. He was definitely robbed. I thought
yeah, and Hearns was winning. Hearns was winning the first fight until he got stopped in what I think was the 14th round.
That's correct.
Had the fight gone the distance, he very well could have won that fight.
Yeah, he was outboxing.
I thought he would have won it.
He was outboxing Leonard in that fight, but I think historically over the course of both men's careers, I think Leonard was more of the boxer and Hearns was more of the knockout guy. So.
Yeah, it's hard to look at one fight and say that, or two fights and say that, because Hearns just had his style. You know, he gave Leonard trouble, but in fairness, I mean, he gave a lot of people trouble with that style.
Because look how Leonard outboxed Hagler, and look what Hearns did with Hagler. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Different fights. Yeah, but okay, but see, listen, in the Hearns Hagler fight, I mean, those guys went to war. Now, who would say what would have happened had Hearns not broken his hand in the second round?
That's true too.
Okay, but who's to say what would have happened? You know, who's to say what would have happened had Hearns come out the box instead of go to war?
I mean, you make a good argument.
Who's to say?
You make a good argument, but the reason why I think I would say Leonard's the better boxer is because he uses boxing more than Hearns did. Now, if Hearns did use his boxing more, and he showcased it as much as Leonard did, then maybe we could say that. I mean, like Eric said, just because in one fight. Now, like I said, Hearns was a very underrated boxer, but he just never had to rely as much on his boxing as Leonard did because he had the equalizer, which was the right hand. So I understand your argument. I understand your argument, but
yeah,
I just think that Leonard.
It's not an issue of just one fight. We actually have two fights to look at, which is the two fights between Leonard and Hearns, and in both fights, Hearns outboxed Sugar Ray Leonard in both fights. You know, so now over the course of their career, if you want to say Leonard was the better boxer, okay, well then I would entertain that argument. And I'm not sure which side of the fence I will be, but in terms of head to head, I think Hearns was the better boxer.
I can respect that. I can respect that.
Yeah. But that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about what happened over the weekend. Once again, we see, a hype job knock out an overmatched opponent. Outbox or beat up on an overmatched opponent. Lomachenko, I don't want to say the guy does pound for pound number one, that status injustice, because I don't consider him to be pound for pound number one. I think anyone who doesn't know shit about boxing, to be completely honest, okay, because, again, I have to ask the question, who is he beating? All right? Who is he beating? I mean, what has he really done in his career? Who is he beating? I mean, has he beaten a top 5 pound for pound guy? No. Alvarez has. Okay? Now, say what you will about it being a close fight and the first fight being controversial, whatever, but look, in that second fight, Alvarez stood right in front of Golovkin and dared him to fight. And Golovkin took a pass. So I think the moral victory alone, the moral victory alone entitles him to being pound for pound number one. But then he turns around and he actually gets a decision, and I thought the decision was fair. So, but that's neither here nor there. I think Davis beats the guy.
I think that you're talking about Canelo, because Canelo is your number one pound for pound.
I think correct? Crawford is.
Alvarez. No, Alvarez is my pound for pound number one. I would have Crawford as number two.
Yeah. So listen, man. Either one, Crawford or Alvarez, as pound for pound number ones over Lomachenko, I can't really argue with. I can't argue with it. I mean, you can make a case that Lomachenko's number one, but it's hard for me. It's hard for me to say that he's better than. It's hard for me to not have Canelo as number one. For the guys he's beaten, and he's going up in weight. He's going to fight. He's probably going to fight Kovalev next. Although Kovalev's balking on that now. It's tough. It's tough to not have Alvarez number one. I mean, you can make a point for Crawford. You can make a case for Loma. You can make a case for Alvarez. They're all three solid fighters, and I don't think you can classify them as 1A, B, and C if you want to. But yeah, I don't have a problem with Alvarez being ranked over him.
I honestly don't think Lomachenko is in the conversation. Okay, I honestly don't, and here's the reason why. Mm-hmm. And it all goes back to the simple question: exactly who has he beaten? What has this guy done in his career? I mean,
but like when you look at his resume, you don't think he's beaten anybody?
Okay, I tell you what, I think we can answer that question best by asking this question. Okay, this morning I was sitting up. I had been discussing Lomachenko as pound number one. I've been debating it on a website, on a forum on the internet, and something occurred to me, which is Orlando Salido, right? If we were to take Orlando Salido's top 3 wins and compare those against Lomachenko's top 3 wins, who would actually come out on top? And I got to thinking, like, Orlando Salido has the 2 wins over Lopez and the win over Lomachenko, right? And if we were to consider those 3 wins on Orlando Salido's resume and compare those against the top 3 wins on Lomachenko's resume, whose resume actually looks better? Like, if we just consider the top 3 wins. And that's a question I would like to pose to you guys.
Unbiased Boxing Talk says that he beat Rigo, Gary Russell, Nicholas Walters, Jorge Linares, Luke Campbell. That's a pretty solid list.
Yeah, wait. Take Rigo off the list.
And is he already a 3? Is he a 3 division? Is he 3 division title winner? Already with 12 fights, with 15, I think 14 or 15 fights now.
15.
15 fights. He's already 3 division title winner. And he's fought.
Okay,
I mean, literally, who's who? You could take Gary Russell on that list.
But wait a minute. Gary Russell was a prospect, okay? Hasn't done anything before since.
Gary Russell was not a prospect. Gary Russell was a solid fighter, man.
Good fighter, yes. I'm not disputing that, all right? However, honestly, the guy had the resume of a prospect. Let's be honest, okay?
But how can you say if we can say Gary Russell's a good fighter, we can say that Rigo's a good fighter. Okay, we can say Rigo was top pound for pound.
But I think we need to put this fight in context. He beats Rigondeaux at 130 pounds. Rigondeaux was a 122-pound champion, had done nothing at 126, had done even less at 130. So exactly when you beat a guy 2 divisions above where he campaigns, how do you put that in? I mean, that has to be put in context. Like, what is the overall
Nicholas Walters was undefeated when he fought him.
Yeah, okay, true. That's a good win, but again, that needs to be put in context. Nicholas Walters coming off a year-long layoff and has looked like shit in his previous fight. Okay, and from what I understand, Nicholas Walters did not want to go into that fight. He was forced into that fight. There's like all these little aspects around these wins by Lomachenko. On the other hand, Orlando Salido, he has Lopez. He beat him twice, and he beat Lomachenko. So, I mean, it's just a question.
But he was also overweight when he fought Lomachenko. He also purposely came in heavy for that fight against Lomachenko. And let's face it, that was Lomachenko's second fight, and it was a split decision. It was a split decision. It's not like, I mean, who else would have fought him in their second fight, dude?
Okay, but didn't you just give Lomachenko credit for beating Gary Russell Jr.? Gary Russell Jr. is a good fighter. We can both agree that Gary Russell Jr. is a good fighter, right? And that was a solid win, yes?
Right. Yeah.
All right. Well, he beat Gary Russell Jr. in his third fight. So if you're going to make excuses for him losing to Orlando Salido in his second fight, well, then you can't
I'm not
necessarily
making
give him
excuses
credit.
for him at all. Listen.
Well,
No, listen. I mean, I'm not making
It's-
excuses for him. No.
But that's what it
I'm saying
sounds
he
like.
lost the
I mean,
fight.
you're talking about the guy comes in
But he
overweight.
lost the
it was
fight.
only his second fight.
Let me ask you, if he's overrated, as you claim he is, okay, give me another guy who fought somebody the caliber of Orlando Salido, who's a solid top fighter. All right, give me another guy who fought him in like his second pro fight. You can't.
So let's drop the whole second pro fight narrative, okay? Because there's two things.
Just change the whole thing up.
Just don't worry about that second whole.
Let's address the second pro fight narrative. Now the guy had 400 amateur fights, so
sure.
Most guys, most
but
professionals.
You would also agree that there's a difference.
Is there a difference between fighting amateur, fighting professional? Yes,
amateurs and pros. Yeah,
there's definitely a difference. Okay, but the early part of your professional career is not too far off fighting in the amateurs, because when guys turn professional, they're fighting 4-round fights. I mean, when do most guys start fighting 8, 10-rounders? 10, 15 fights maybe? Guys probably 17, 18, 20 fights before they see their first 10-rounder maybe? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. This guy...
Yeah, but he was fighting 10-rounders what? In like his second fight?
Well, he was...
12 rounds. That was a yeah.
But how many amateur fights do most professionals fight? Most professionals only fighting 100, 150, maybe 200 amateur fights. Lomachenko had his early professional career. Okay, granted. But Lomachenko fought the early part of his professional career in the amateurs. The guy had 400 amateur fights. So let's be honest here. The guy had the equivalent of a professional career, early professional career in the amateurs. So when you talk about only his second...
100% no. There's a completely different... Beeb, would you agree with this, that it's a completely different level in the amateurs than it is the pros?
Yeah. I mean, even Lomachenko fought the WBSS. They say he had 10 fights there, but those aren't real fights.
You know what? Those aren't... No, they're not. They're not real fights, and they're not professional fights. They're professional in the fact that they get paid, but they're not professional in the fact that they count on your record. They're not. They're not.
Almost like they paid amateur fights.
Yeah. Did they wear? I don't even remember. Did they wear headgear in that?
I don't think so, but they had bigger gloves.
So let me ask this question.
Those weren't professional fights either.
Let me ask this question. Why wait? I mean, how old was Lomachenko when he turned professional? He was, 27, 28?
I don't know.
But the guy was in his late 20s. Most guys, when they turn professional, in their early 20s. I mean, hell, most professionals from Mexico turn professional at 17, 18 years old or earlier. I mean, how old was Alvarez when he turned professional? 15, 16? I want to say Juan Manuel Marquez turned professional about 15, 16. Eric Morales, all those guys turned professional 15, 16 years old. This guy waits till his late 20s to turn professional. The question has to be asked, most guys who turn professional do so in their early 20s, their late teens. This guy waits till his late 20s to turn professional. Question needs to be asked, why? Why 400 amateur fights?
What does it matter? Because he won 2 gold medals. Why did Rasheed Warren go through 3 Olympics before he turned professional? He's chasing medals.
Let me ask this question. What puts more money in your pocket? Gold medals or professional prize fights? Think about it. What if Floyd Mayweather would have
without question, gold medals. Look at Sugar Ray Leonard. When he turned professional, how much money he got and how much money the other fighters got when they gold medal. If you have a gold medal and then you turn pro, look at Oscar De La Hoya.
$200,000 for his pro debut.
Okay, so then wait.
That's without question.
Wait, De La Hoya, Sugar Ray Leonard, those guys, they earn a gold medal and then turn professional. They didn't stick around another 4 years to capture another gold medal. Now, let me ask you a question. Would it have been smart? Well, okay, but here's my question to you. Would it have been financially smart? Would it have made good financial sense for guys like De La Hoya, Oscar De La Hoya, Sugar Ray Leonard to put off turning professional to chase down a second gold medal? Would that have made sense?
No, because he needed the money.
No, because and I'll tell you why. Because they're in good divisions. They're in that 135, 147, they're in the money division. Sugar Ray Leonard was in that money division. Oscar De La Hoya was in that money division. Lomachenko, what did he start out at? 122? 126? Yeah, 126. Not exactly a big money division. And that was Rasheed Warren. That's what he said too. He said that the reason he didn't turn pro and he started chasing, and he went back into the Olympics was that there was no money there. It didn't even matter. If he turned pro, what did it matter? Because he wasn't collecting a big paycheck out of there. Now, when he decided to turn pro, there was a little bit bigger names and everything like that.
Makes sense.
Well, if that's your logic, and if the argument is you can make more money chasing gold medals than you can chasing a professional career, why not just stay in the amateurs and chase more gold medals?
No, it just depends on what weight you're at. It just depends on what weight you're at.
Why not get 3 or 4?
Again, I mean, this isn't my logic. This is Rasheed Warren's logic, and he was right on the money. And listen, I think he knows a little bit more about it than I do because he lived it, and that could have been the same thing with Lomachenko, Look at Zeus Shimmy.
I'm of a different philosophy. I think the reason why the guy hung around in the amateurs as long as he did is because he wasn't ready for the professionals. Now, that's what I think personally.
He wasn't ready for it. He's won a title in 3 different weight divisions. He's fought like the who's who of every division.
And he still hasn't beaten anyone. Who has he beaten?
Come on, man.
You
can't say that with a straight face. Who would he have to beat? Let me ask you this. Who would he have to beat to convince you? He could have fought Mikey Garcia at 135. Beat him, I would have been convinced.
Mikey moved up to 140.
But that fight didn't happen.
Mikey moved up. So if he beats Teofimo Lopez or Richard Comey, would that make you a believer?
I won't be happy with that.
I might be less of a skeptic. I tell you what, let him beat Tank Davis.
All right, well,
let him beat Tank. If he beats Tank Davis, which he's not,
son, that fight's not going to happen.
Beat the guy I saw last night.
That fight ain't happening. That fight's not happening.
Fight doctor, I'm picking Tank Davis in that fight. Who are you picking?
Davis would have beat the guy I saw last night.
Fight doctor's a genius.
Okay.
Fight
doctor's a genius. He sees talent like the Beeb.
Davis would have beat the guy I saw last night. Okay.
All right, fight doctor. We're going to get moving here. But I tell you what, when he fights Comey or he fights Teofimo, if he beats one of those guys, fight doctor is a believer?
Less of a skeptic.
Less of a skeptic. Okay, hey, you know what?
We'll have to see the fight. Because here's what I'm thinking is going to happen. What I'm thinking is going to happen. Davis is moving up to 135. He's probably going to move down to 130 and duck Davis and the Teofimo Lopez Comey winner. That's what I think is going to happen. And if that should happen,
that's not going to happen.
I'm going to come back on here and remind you that the guy hasn't beaten anyone. And that the guy is suspect, belongs on FBI's 10 most wanted list because he's straight suspect. Number one, not hardly.
That's it. All right, fight doctor, man. We're going to get moving, man. We got a few people on the line here, so good call as always. Good call. Beeb, do you agree with that? He hasn't fought anybody?
When he fought Gary Russell and beat Gary Russell, I was very impressed.
I was blown away when he beat Gary Russell because I had Gary Russell all day in that fight. I was like, there's no way this guy is going to beat Gary Russell. And he manhandled Gary Russell. Now, I know, listen, if you talk to like Gary Russell's father, he says they brought in somebody, the strength and conditioning guy. It didn't go well. And there was some, all that aside, it was
and the Walters fight too. Yeah. I thought he would win, but the way he won that fight, I mean, that was incredibly impressive.
Yeah, that was impressive. I thought the Rigo fight was definitely impressive. Rigo was at one time pound for pound, and Rigo was undefeated when he fought him. He was undefeated when he fought, and the way he beat him.
Yeah.
The way he beat him. Who was the guy that he fought? And the guy was that had like a trilogy or he had fought Orlando Salido a couple of times. Who was
Rocky
that guy?
Martinez?
Martinez, yeah. That was the fight for me, aside from the Gary Russell fight. That was the fight for me that I had to take notice, man.
If you don't like the resume, then you have to be able to see that he passes the eye test with flying colors.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
I just don't understand.
All right, Hamed from England. You're live.
All right. It's Wales, actually. Yes, Eric. Beeb, how's it going?
How you doing, brother?
Oh, hey, what's going on, man?
Nice
Sorry
to hear
about
from
that.
you.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm good. Listening to that guy, I was getting a headache, man. I don't know if he's trolling or he's a casual, but I think he's a hater. And there's one thing being a hater, but when you don't even hide it and you're not losing logic, I think he sounded dumb. Like the things he's saying, like make no sense. Like Lomachenko staying as an amateur. Like I'm not even his biggest fan. Like I rate the guy, but I don't think he's pound for pound number one. Like at the moment, I'd probably put Crawford ahead of him. But he stayed in the amateurs, won 2 gold medals, and even if you don't rate him that highly as a pro, which I don't think at the moment, like I wouldn't crown him as an all-time great and all that, but he's obviously one of the greatest amateurs, if not the greatest amateur. He won 2 gold medals. He had 395 fights, and I think he lost 1 fight. He beat virtually everyone he fought in the amateurs. Maybe the Stevenson-Cuban guy might have been better because he won 3 gold medals, but he's one of the greatest amateurs ever. And when people talk about this, what is it, 300 fights he had, the other guys have had as much amateur fights as well. Look at Golovkin. He had, I think, 360 fights in amateurs. I think Beeb had a lot as well. So I don't know why Lomachenko is held to such high standards by people. Maybe it's because, I don't know, maybe they don't like him, but like if you're saying he's overrated and like you're critiquing him, I think you're just being a hater and you're being overcritical, because you got to acknowledge like the skill set. And I don't think the resume is the greatest, but for a guy with 14 fights, he's pretty up there. I'd definitely say he's the top 3 pound for pound fighter, probably top 2. Now, would you guys rate him in the top 2 or 3?
Who, Loma?
He's in the conversation. He's in the conversation.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he's in the conversation.
I probably put Crawford ahead of him, though. I think Crawford's more accomplished. He's become undisputed. He's cleaned out one or two weight classes, and I think Crawford has beaten more champions. But I think Lomachenko is on track to become a great fighter, like arguably a Hall of Fame or whatever. I'd push the brakes. For some people, I think he's one of the greatest, if not greatest. I think that's a bit premature. I don't know if that's possible at this moment in time because there's so many great fighters, and he's already 31 or 30. But excuse me. But I think he's beaten a lot of good fighters. If you're trying to say beating Tank Davis gives you some sort of validation, but then that don't make sense, because I thought him beating Nicholas Walters, even Linares at the time, those were probably more highly touted victories. Linares dropped him. He was also on a long winning streak. He was a champion at lightweight. That was his first fight. Walters was the guy who knocked out Donaire, who's a future Hall of Famer. And at the moment, Tank hasn't done anything for 2 years. The last time he did something was in 2017 when he beat Pedraza. That's not a bad fight. I wouldn't mind seeing it, but as for the Campbell fight, like I think some people are mixing it up. Campbell was taller than what's his name, Lomachenko. He had bigger reach, height, and reach advantage than Gervonta Davis. Like, styles make fights. You can't compare the two. Like, I don't know how people are seeing. Like, Tank has got a punch his chance, but I don't know how people can compare the two. Would you guys agree? Like, that's like a different styles matchup?
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, because I was going to see, Bob Arum was saying that Lomachenko, I think it's Lomachenko's dad told him not to put Campbell in the Teofimo Lopez because he was saying Campbell would have beaten Teofimo Lopez. I think after the weekend, that probably might have been a possibility because the guy that Campbell fought, I don't think he was better than, the guy that Lopez fought, Nikitani, I don't think he was better than Campbell. I thought Lomachenko won pretty handily. I don't think he won like every round. I definitely thought Campbell won about 2 or 3 rounds, but I thought it was a good performance. He is quite reckless though when he has opponents hurt. Like, he got dropped by Linares as well, so maybe maybe Tank has a puncher's chance, but I'm not sure. I think the only guy that might have beaten him was Mikey Garcia lightweight before the Spence fight. I think I might have favored Mikey because he had size and I think he's a bigger puncher than Campbell and Tank as well, and I think that would have been a good fight. But I don't see many challenges from at the moment. I like to like Lopez Comey winner. That's a good fight, but apart from that, like I think Mikey might be the only fight. I still don't mind seeing that fight. Mikey drops down. Do you guys reckon that's possible? Or Mikey's moving, to 140?
Yeah, I don't think Mikey dropping down. He's not dropping down for that.
I really wanted to see that fight with Mikey and Lomachenko, but I don't think it's ever going to happen.
No,
it's not going to happen.
But
it could have happened. I mean, if Mikey would have stayed in, I'm hearing Garcia. I'm hearing Danny Garcia, but I don't know if that fight's going to get put together or not. I'm also hearing that Mikey may go to DAZN. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I heard that as well. I mean, Danny will be at 147, won't you? Because that can't be at 140. Like, I think Mikey wanted to drop down to 140, but if he fights Danny, then that'll be at 147. I think if that happens, then the Lomachenko fight definitely won't happen. I still won't mind seeing it, but it would have been better to have seen that before the Spence fight. But as for Lomachenko, I think some people need to hold their breaks. He is a good fighter. I don't think it's the greatest performance, but maybe down the line he could become, I don't know, like some people are saying, one of the greatest fighters. I wouldn't put him that high, but maybe you could argue down the line if he keeps doing what he does, like a top 20 or 30. But right now, I think he's on the cusp. Sooner or later, you can make a solid argument that he's the number one fighter. But I would like to see maybe fights with Tank Davis, and I think the Comey Lopez winner will be a good fight.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, my man, we are going to get running, man. We appreciate your call. Appreciate you calling from London, man. My goodness, it's live over there. It's like it's probably like 1 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock over there. Man, we appreciate it. All right, let's go to 706. Jason.
What's going on, guys?
Hey, Jason.
Only getting all this fucking backlash because Loma's only getting all this backlash because fucking hacks like Tessitore are calling him one of the greatest of all time and shit. You know, did you see how Tessitore
why not hate on them? Why did I hate on them though? Why hate on Loma?
I know. I'm just saying that's like one of the main reasons why people are like, you know, they have to like come because people like Bellier were on YouTube saying he's the closest thing to fucking Roy Jones Jr. and what I saw last night, I didn't see anything pound for pound level greatness like last night. Like when I think of pound for pound level greatness, performances like Floyd Mayweather versus Corrales come to mind. Floyd Mayweather versus Gaddy comes to mind. Floyd Mayweather versus Canelo comes to mind. To me, that's what's pound for pound level greatness. When a guy like fucking Canelo or Corrales can't even fucking touch you. To me, that's pound for pound level all time greatness. Loma was getting fucking touched up in every round. That's not pound for pound level greatness to me. I don't give a fuck how good your footwork is, or how long you fucking did ballet dancing and shit, or how much you're hopping around and moving around.
He won like every round, though.
No, he didn't.
He lost like 2 rounds on the judges' scorecards.
He lost like 4 rounds.
No, he didn't. 118. 118 is losing 2 rounds.
Who? What are you talking about?
Wow.
Who cares about what the judges scored? Who cares about what the judges scored? Who cares?
The fighters do.
Judges give Canelo a fucking split decision against Mayweather, you moron. Who cares, dude? Come on. Who cares what the judges
It is what
scored?
it is. Hey, judges had him.
What do you mean it is what it is?
Listen, when it goes down in the
judges
books,
the judges gave Katie Taylor a win on Joshua's undercard. Katie Taylor lost that fight. Who cares what the judges score it? Come on. That guy didn't win every fucking round. So the
judges don't matter.
Dude, Mayweather won every round against Canelo. Mayweather won every round against Canelo. Loma didn't win every round against Luke.
So what are you crying about?
Yeah, but you're talking about
he won the
people
fight.
Are thinking he's all-time great. That's not an all-time great performance. He's supposed to knock a guy like Luke out, and everybody's saying, "Oh, he's taller. He's got a longer reach." Didn't Pedraza have a longer reach than Tank? Pedraza was tall as shit. The fucking Tank looked like a midget compared to him. All this bullshit about reach
how many
and all
fights?
that.
How many fights
how
does
that not affect Tank? Tank is shorter against every.
How many fights
opponent.
does Loma have?
Every opponent is taller than Tank. Tank is never taller than anybody, and people never use that excuse for Tank. That guy fucking runs over people.
So?
Look at what he did to Pedraza. And Eric, everybody knows if that was Tank in there, he would have fucking ragdolled Luke. Luke's fucking body's wide open all night.
I don't know that.
Tank would have folded him.
Yeah,
dude.
I don't know that. I don't
Did
know
you
that
not
at
see
all.
The body shot?
Luke Campbell's a good fighter.
Tank lands, dude. Did you not see the body shot Tank lands?
We said it all week long. Beeb, you and I said this all week long, that fight was going to be a good fight. That the Campbell fight was going to be a good fight because Campbell is no pushover.
Tank would have knocked that guy out in like 7 rounds.
Come on, son.
Tank would have knocked him out in 7 rounds. What are you talking about? Come on, dude. Come on.
Son.
Okay, let me ask this.
How many fights does Loma have? How many fights does Loma have?
10 pro fights in Europe, and he's got whatever he has in America. I don't even know.
No, how many fights does he have? How many professional fights does he have? 15.
I don't know. Tell me. You tell me.
And he's a 3-division champion, son.
You tell me. How many fights does he have? Pro
you
fights
can't say that's not special.
15? How many?
It just is.
15.
How many does he have? Can you tell me again?
15.
15.
So 15 plus the 10 he had in Europe, so that's 25 pro fights and 400 amateur fights.
Okay. They weren't pro fights in Europe. They weren't pro fights.
Yeah, they were pro fights. According to Max Kellerman on HBO. According to Max Kellerman, if you wear headgear and get paid, that's a pro fight.
So why are you quoting him? You hate Max Kellerman, so why are you quoting him?
Either. I don't hate Loma either, dude. Just shut up. Let me talk.
It sounds like you do.
I think if Loma gave you free tickets to his fight, you wouldn't take them.
Yeah, I would go. I would not, dude. I would go. I mean, I'm just saying. Listen, hey, who's the better fighter, Beeb? Hey, Beeb, who's the better fighter, Pedraza or Luke Campbell? Is there much difference between these guys?
I'm going to be honest with you. I think Luke Campbell's a better fighter.
Yeah.
I'm a huge.
By a lot or what? By a lot?
What does it matter?
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a big Luke. I'm a big Luke.
We're both
big
Luke
Campbell. Fight doctor talk nonsense for 30 minutes. Just shut up for a second. Come on, Jesus Christ. God damn.
I think Luke Campbell's a better fighter than Pedraza. I'm going to tell you something right now.
Yeah.
I bet you Tank ends up fighting Luke Campbell.
I think that's a good fight.
I think Tank will fight Luke Campbell in the future.
I think he should go to.
How good a fight is that?
I would love for him to go to England, just like he went for Liam. What was his name? Liam Walsh or whatever. He would fucking fold Luke Campbell like 7 rounds tops. I'll put whatever money you want, 500,000 cash, whatever.
And that's why they're going to fight him. Whatever. They want to fight him so they can probably see if they want to prove they can get him out of it.
I would have said that before last night, Beeb. I would have said that before last night. Luke Campbell is fucking as basic as they come. You're overrating him. I don't know why. That guy is as basic as they come. I don't see anything he did last night that was really good. Guy's throwing fucking arm punches all night. Tank will break his fucking jaw like in 6 rounds. That's what he's gonna do. In the clinch, if fucking Tank lands a left hook in the clinch, you're fucking done. You're on Queer Street. I don't care who you are. Loma's shit.
I can't wait till we get the new software.
Loma's gonna be fucking.
I can't wait till we get the new software and get the chats on the screen. You know, we can do the chats on the screen. Red Glove Militant just said, "Shut up and let me talk," says the guy who has 0 videos.
Dude, these guys in the chat are saying Tank has done nothing, but that guy was 21 years old. In his 17th pro fight, he knocked out Pedraza, who was an undefeated champion. Is that nothing?
I don't agree with that. I think
being the youngest champion. Yeah, I know. Let me finish, dude. Let me finish. Come on, let me finish. How is that nothing? At 21 years old, being the youngest champion for a year. Pedraza was undefeated. Nobody had beaten him or dropped him. Tank came in out of nowhere and fucking beat the shit out of Pedraza.
How old was he, Jason?
Who? He was 21, right? When he beat Pedraza? Wasn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Who?
Just checking.
Tank is what, 23 or 24 now, isn't he? What Canelo was when he fought Floyd, and people said he was too green?
Like you don't know, like you don't send him birthday presents.
You know his birthday. You know his birthday, Jason. You know his shirt size.
Also, do me a favor. Do me a favor.
His shirt size.
Go on Google right now and Google Tank's
Tank
amateur
was
record.
best
Did you
in
know how many
medium.
amateur wins he has, Beeb?
How many amateur wins does he have?
How many what?
His amateur record is 206-15. Did you guys know that?
No. I did not.
Yeah. That guy is no fucking chump. He's polished, dude. Like you were saying, he breaks people down. That's where he learned all that shit. You know, he's been fighting since, what, like 5, 6 years old, like Canelo was. He posts pictures of him like as a kid fucking put... Go ahead. Go ahead.
Is that Fight Doctor? I don't know if that's Fight Doctor. TWM22 in the chat says that Devin Haney beats the brakes off Gervonta Davis.
Gervonta Davis was beating the shit out of Haney in sparring. Did you know that? Tank beat him up so bad in sparring that Deontay... listen, Dante's Boxing Nation posted a video of the sparring, and Devin Haney's dad got pissed and told Dante to take it down. That's how bad Tank beat up Haney in sparring. So all these idiots in fucking sparring are talking about don't know shit. Also, you guys better pump the fucking brakes on Boatsy. That guy's another fucking hype job like Josh Kelly. As soon as he fights somebody with a punch, he's going down too. He's horrible. He's horrible. He's fucking horrible. He's like shit. Yeah, he's shit. I'm telling you, he's horrible.
What is it that you
see?
He
has no fucking heart, and he has no chin. I'm telling you, dude. These guys have like horrible sparring in England, dude. These guys are sparring like bums like Martin Bacoli in fucking UK. Look at fucking Porter. He's fucking sparring Benavidez. Like in England, these fucking gyms are filled with Euro bums like Corolla and all this shit, man. They don't have any good sparring over there. That's why they're not good.
You think you can beat any of those Euro bums?
I would have beat Ramon Alvarez last night for sure. I would have fucked him up.
You would have beat Ramon Alvarez?
I would have fucked him up.
Ramon Alvarez could have dried out to 125. You still wouldn't have beat him.
Dude, I feel bad for him. Like I think Canelo might have disowned him or something because there's no way he should have been fighting Lara. Like he looked like a punching bag. Canelo should be taking care of his brother, not letting him go in fights like that. That was sad, dude. He looked like a punching bag for real. He looked like fucking he looked like Robbie Lawler. Just like standing there saying you punch him off.
Robbie Lawler. When he fought Kobe.
Robbie is punch drunk too. Robbie's done, I'm telling you. Also, did you guys see the UFC got their first Chinese champion? What's her name? Jessica Andrade.
That was awesome. Yeah, I did see that. That lady, yeah. Knocked her out in the second round,
dude.
man.
MMA must be getting big up there. That's the big market out there. And they're doing a card in Dubai. They were dancing with fucking people wearing those Arab clothes and shit. Dustin Poirier posted it. That's kind of funny. They're like dancing with swords and shit, you know?
A double.
Yeah.
A double in Dubai. Joshua and Ruiz and the UFC.
Yeah, but Dubai is nice. Out there, Dubai is actually nice. Dubai is like fucking like a real nice city like Australia and shit. Fucking Saudi Arabia.
That's right. It's in Dubai, not Saudi. Yeah, Dubai. I would love to go there sometime. Nice. Man, that looks like a good place.
Yeah, that's like a fucking man-made island in the middle of nowhere. But what did you guys think of Gervonta Clark? You guys thought he won? Fedora, man, they like him. You know, he's a Mexican tall kid.
I thought he won.
Yeah, they're trying to. Al Heyman likes him. That's why they fucking gave him a draw. That's why. Every time
yeah, man, I tell you, he didn't do
whenever
anything.
They take long to count the cards. Whenever they take long to count the card, it's a robbery or something about to happen in boxing. That's how it always works.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, it was a close fight. I thought that Gervonta won the fight. I wouldn't call it a robbery, but 9 rounds to 2, whatever that stupid judge had at that to me was a little bit out there.
He needs a real trainer. I don't think Fedora has a real trainer. He's probably being trained by his dad. He needs somebody like Robert Garcia or somebody like Joel Diaz or somebody. You know?
No, he had somebody. His dad wasn't His dad was in the corner, but he wasn't training him, or he wasn't listed as trainer, I should say. So, Earthquake, thank you so much, man. He said, great show. Hit the thumbs up button, people.
Yeah, there's like 50
thank you so much, Earthquake.
30 likes. Come on. A lot of likes to be going.
Yeah, come on, guys. Hit the like button.
Isn't Robbie calling it now? That was a TV fight. When is he calling it again? Did he forget the number?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
He dropped his fucking.
Somebody in the chat asked about. Ahmed asked about him.
He dropped the plug for his show.
He gets a plug for his show and disappears. That's right.
Did you miss him?
He's on big Jason? Time. He's on big time.
Did you guys watch the face-off for Porter and Spence today on Fox?
I liked it.
No, I didn't catch it.
I liked it.
You're in DVR and you.
Hey, let me ask you.
Bastard.
Hey, Beeb, let me jump in here, Jason. Hey, let me ask you this: if Spence beats Porter, is he now in the pound for pound conversation?
Maybe.
He already is.
Because I mean, everybody talks about Crawford, and Crawford beat some really good guys, but I mean, he's taking care of Garcia. He's taking care of Spence.
Porter.
It's a tough one, right? Or Porter, I'm sorry. Yeah, Porter.
And Brooke.
It's a tough one, right?
And Brooke. And Kell Brooke, dude.
Yeah, and went to England and beat Brooke.
In front of 30,000.
He's got a pretty good resume now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a tough fight. That was a tough fight.
The atmosphere is rowdy as fuck, dude. That was a loud-ass fucking arena.
I know. It's nuts. All right, Jason, man, we're going to get running. We got a ton of people on the line, and we're going to try to cut out here at 9. So, all right, man. Let's see who's next. Area code 805. 805.
That Notch?
You're live.
Oh. Hey, guys, what's up?
What's up, Notch?
Just really cool.
Nacho, what's up?
Nothing much. I just love the double standard, no standard from guys like Fight Doctor and Jason over here. They always try to define shit to suit their argument when they know they're losing the argument. Talking about, well, let's not talk about sparring because their sparring is garbage, but then he talks about Tank fucking knocking people out in sparring. What the fuck? Like, that's ridiculous. You can't use it just to suit your argument because you know you ain't got shit to say.
A lot of mental gymnastics going on here, Fight Doctor. A lot of mental gymnastics.
Yeah, exactly. Like they keep moving the goalposts back every time it suits them. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
So,
but the goalposts
anyway,
off the field.
Yeah, just really quick. As far as Loma struggled a little bit with Campbell last night, but that was because Campbell, has the length and the reach, and he's an Olympian and he's got skills. He wasn't fighting no fucking tomato can like Hugo Ruiz or Francisco Fonseca or Ricardo Nunez like Tank Davis has been fighting lately. Like, when are they finally going to give someone legit to fucking Tank Davis at this point? The guy's almost 25 years old, and other than Pedraza, Jason can't name one decent opponent that he's actually beat that was worth a damn. Like, seriously, at some point, it's either shit or get off the pot. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, you're over here talking about this guy's resume. What fucking resume? He has no resume to speak of. He's fighting nobody to win paper belt. It's just ridiculous on this guy's part. As far as the Fury Povetkin fight, please don't ever let Huey Fury get on TV again. That was awful. He literally was content to go to 12 rounds, and he literally didn't do anything to even look like he wanted to win that fight. He was just content to say he went to 12 rounds, and he was acting like he was going to win. He's going to win that fight, and, it was just awful. I hope he never gets a TV fight ever again. That was just terrible. And the whole Charlie Edwards Martinez fight, Martinez had that fight won. He just completely jumped the gun and hit the guy while he was on the ground, which was stupid. He should have never hit him with that second body shot, because I don't think Edwards would have recovered from the first shot that he went down on. And he totally went over the top, and he hit him to the gut, and it was just like he was on the ground, and it's like, what are you doing, man? Like, you had that fight won, and he totally fucking he blew it. If they do have a rematch, I still think he's going to beat him again. So, I think Martinez has Edwards' number, and I think that fight probably doesn't happen. I wouldn't be surprised if Edwards moves up and doesn't fight him again, and he's got to fight somebody else for that belt. And as far as the PBC card, my God, I can't believe they actually let Alvarez go through with that fight, considering that he was 5 pounds over, and he looked like a dead body when he was on the scale. I mean, they put a story out about how they called Francisco Santana to fly in the night before the fight, thinking that he might actually have to take the fight.
That's right.
And I would have rather seen him take on Erislandy Lara than watch fucking Canelo's brother get his
would have been a better fight.
In. Yeah, it would have been such a better fight. I don't understand why they allowed Alvarez to go through with that fight when he had no business being in that fight. You could see the guy was not in fighting shape, completely overweight, and he just looked terrible. And as far as Fundora,
did you hear the excuse? Did you hear the excuse that Alvarez gave about his weight? He said that they traveled with a scale, but the scale wasn't wasn't calibrated.
Yeah, it wasn't calibrated.
How do you calibrate a scale?
I was like, come on.
Yeah, how do you calibrate? The scale. Listen, the scale's not going to be 10 pounds off. You know what I mean? They thought they were on weight. No, you didn't.
Yeah, like how do you bring a scale that's not going to be on point? I've never heard a fighter say that shit before. Probably what happened was
either the scale works or it doesn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was never going to make weight, like you said, and he thought he could squeeze out as much of the weight in the last couple of days as he could. I mean, they were saying he literally didn't eat for 2 days before the weigh-in. So the guy's starving himself, and he knew he wasn't going to make weight, and they still let him fight. Like, that was just
That's
awful.
my excuse, too. When I get on the scale, I always say it's not calibrated either. So, I don't know.
I think a lot of us do, Eric, and you ain't the only one.
Scale's wrong.
Yeah. As far as the Fundora-Clark fight, like you said, I totally disagree with that judge that gave Fundora 8 rounds. That's ridiculous. I thought that fight could have been 6-4, 7-3, either to Clark. I just thought Clark completely outboxed him, and he gave him problems, and Fundora didn't know how to, considering that, he had trouble, like, with his movement, and he was getting hit with left hands, straight lefts and, hooks to the head. And it was a good fight, but I'm just disappointed in the scoring. Hopefully they give Clark a rematch, because I think he deserves one. That was just a terrible decision that they made, giving Fundora a draw. I thought it was a legitimate loss. So hopefully they give Clark another shot at Fundora. And the last fight, I didn't even bother to watch that fight, because I knew that Bisbal, or whatever his name was, he was just going to get worked. He didn't even bother to train. He looked like he was sitting on the couch the entire time before they asked him to take the fight. He weighed in at like 270 pounds or some shit like that. Like, that's
I heard
ridiculous.
I heard his weight wasn't right because the scale wasn't calibrated, so I don't know. I don't know what his actual weight was.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what it was. All right, guys, I just wanted to call in real quick, and I'll get off. Everyone else is waiting, I'm sure. See you guys next week.
Ash brought the heat, man. He brought the picante sauce today.
He did, man. He did. 612, you're live.
Hey, Eric. This is John calling from Minnesota.
What was your name again?
My name is Jay. I'm calling from Minnesota.
Oh, it's Jay. Big Jay's in the house, Daddy.
What's happening, man?
Hey, everything's good, man. Everything's good. Man, this is one reason why I like the fight doctor calling the show, because he brings a lot of different subjects to bring to debate. Now, I love what there's some things that I agree with him on about Loma, and there's some things I disagree about Loma. Now, yes, I definitely could say that Loma isn't quite number one on the pound-for-pound list yet, and I would say the only reason that I wouldn't give him that is because he hasn't unified a division. Outside of that, I would say that would probably be primarily the only reason why he wouldn't get it. So yeah, that would probably be the only reason he wouldn't be up there, or at least number one. He's definitely in the top 3 or even top 5. Absolutely, he's there. It's just that he hasn't unified the division. He hasn't unified a division yet. And because definitely he passes the eye test. I mean, no one can deny that. He has skills. It's there.
Yeah.
So no one can deny that. I mean, he's definitely a guy in the foreseeable future. He's already making moves. He's going to make even bigger moves and going further. But that's the only thing that I would have that would be the only thing. And even if you ask me to be honest, which is the one thing, which is something I disagree with as far as with the fight doctor, is that I think that he's fought more notable names than Terrence Crawford, if you ask me. He has. I mean, he's fought the likes of Rocky Martinez. He's fought in the Orlando Salidos, the Gary Russells. I mean, this is a Gary Russell at the time that was, oh my God. I mean, he was the guy at one point. And he made him look basic almost. So, I mean, just being fairly honest, I mean, Lomachenko did a number. He took this guy to school. So, he has the Gary Russell. He has Rigo. I mean, you could say whatever you want about, when he chose to fight Rigo or whatever. Rigo accepted the fight. He knew what weight class he was going to be at, and he chose to fight him. So, still got to credit him for that win, regardless of what you say. Rigo knew what he stepped into when he signed the contract. So, he took the fight. He lost. And he had to do what he needed to do to prepare for that fight, and Rigo didn't. So, he lost, and he did it well against him, too. So, I mean, this guy already has some notable names. But that's the only thing to his credit that he hasn't done his unified division. That's why I rank Crawford above him, or even Canelo, because Canelo's just been around longer, and he's had more time to fight those big names. So, if you were to say Crawford or Canelo at number one, I wouldn't be mad at that. So, that's for sure. That's my take on that. But definitely, if he does fight Tank, or even if he unifies the 135-pound division, then you can give him his stake at being pound for pound, number one. You can give him that stake at that point, if you ask me. Then I would be a believer and say that he would be up there at number one. But as of right now, if you were to say Crawford's number one, and then you could say Canelo 2A, Loma 2B, or even if you were to say Canelo number one, Crawford 2A, and then Loma 2B, that makes sense. That makes all the sense in the world to me.
Yeah.
Now, as far as I didn't get a chance to look at the Campbell fight because I was actually at the Lara fight, unfortunately. But I did go because I just love the sport. So, and boxing hadn't been in Minnesota for years. So anytime Beeb comes, I'm going. So whether it's a good card, bad card, I'm going. So, but
sure,
I was definitely glad to see that Lara won his fight. I would love to see the rematch with him and Hurd, but he, of course, right now Hurd has to get through J-Rock first, which. That's a 50-50 fight, as we all know. I mean, that could go either way as well. And, really the 154-pound division in itself is that's a hot division. 147 is a hot division. 130 and 135, those are starting to become hot divisions as well. And then as far as Tank is concerned, I think that he's definitely on his way. He's up there, and I would still say that he's ready to take on those fights. But of course, there's the powers that be, which will be Floyd. He's moving him in a way to where he can make the most money, which I'm not against, but I feel like that could hurt his reputation as being the top guy if he's not fighting the best fights. So,
right.
90 seconds.
That's my opinion on that.
All right, Jay, we got to wrap it up here. We got to get moving. We appreciate your call, man. Thank you. Very good take, man. He's got some good takes. He lives right there in Minnesota, man. So he gets to see all those fights. A lot of fights going to Minnesota lately, which is nice, which is good for the town. Beeb, where do the best callers come from?
Ohio, I would say.
That's right. I would say it too. OH614, you're live.
What's good?
60 seconds.
My new number. This is Marcus, Ohio Runs Boxing.
Absolutely. What's happening, man?
Man, I love the show. Great show tonight. These callers had me. My goodness. I want to speed it up. Jason and the fight doctor is hilarious, man. First of all, I just can't understand the hate Lomachenko gets so much. It's just so crazy to me. And he fought Olympian, gold medalist. He's not going to look good in all his fights. It's just funny to me, man. They talking about Tank. It's going to come up, and he's going to stop normal now, And they use the comparisons with the Pizzada, the fight with what they say, Lomachenko.
10 seconds.
Dropped them out. It's different styles. Like, people kill me with this. They trying to paint their own narratives to make them sound like they sound good, and they sound crazy. If that's the narrative you're using, then you must use it with all the other fighters. How is it that Manny Pacquiao knocked out Ricky Hatton in the second round, and Floyd goes longer? What, in the 10th or the 11th? So that means Manny was better than Floyd because he knocked out Hatton quicker than him? That makes no damn sense. What happened when they fought each other? Do you see what I'm saying? I can go on and on with this theory because boxing repeats itself. And a lot of people just fail to realize that. And it's so funny listening to these people trying to match them up and say, oh, he took longer, he did this, he didn't look good. It's styles. Is Sean Porter better than Floyd Mayweather because Sean Porter stopped Berto and Floyd went 12 rounds? I mean, this is the things this is what y'all using as ammo in debating. Your logic, it's just crazy to me. Is this what you're saying? Because you got to be consistent across the board. This is what some people are saying. And it's styles make fights. Just because, and I've said this, I've been going on with the Sean Porter and Earl Spence. Earl didn't stop Mikey, that was smaller and moved up. It doesn't mean he can't stop none of the other welterweights because he did stop Mikey. But at the same time, you got to look at it both ways. Sean ain't never been stopped. He got hit in the catchweight, moved up. I mean, it was a catchweight with a Broner, slash shot. But that isn't, so they were saying, oh, he ain't got no chance. But yet, he done fought Danny Garcia and Thurman, got hit with some solid shots, and he shows that he's never been stopped. So it's just funny that they use one vulnerable moment in a boxer's career and say, hey, I found it. Got the blueprint. You know what I mean? It's just so funny to me. So it's hilarious that they use this. I just listen to them all the time, and it's just like, wow. You got to be able to put your biasness to the side and just look at everything. But speaking of that, my boy Jamonte from Cincinnati, Ohio, I don't know if I was the only one that felt like this, but when they made the title, the WBC youth title, they put it on the line like 2 days before the fight actually happened. It just all of a sudden came out of nowhere, and I said, damn, this is what I said to myself. I said, that's not good. I said, Jamonte, his people was happy, like, oh, they're putting the belt on the line. I said, that belt is not for you. That belt is for Sebastian. Did you see what I'm saying? I've been in this game too long.
Absolutely.
I know what's going on. I've been in this game too long.
He was the house fighter,
Right. So when I seen them put that belt on the line, this is no different than the WBA putting the belt on the line for Klitschko and AJ because they had AJ winning it. So it's like you see this all the time. So when I seen it, I said, "Damn, this is gonna be crazy." And the fight went out there. I believe Jamonte won 3 to 4 rounds in that fight. I won't really call it a robbery because it was some swing rounds, but I think Jamonte still outboxed him, and he was difficult. I don't think they're gonna have a rematch. But it was certain things in that fight that would show you how biased the commentary was. I believe it was round 8. I'm going to speed it up because I know that got to go. But he hit Jamonte with a great shot. It was a right, and it was at the beginning of the 8th round. I believe it was the 8th round. And that was damn near the only time he hit him in that fucking round. And Jamonte outboxed him and beat him. He dominated that round. And when PBC showed the next highlight, it was only Sebastian's punch that landed in that damn round. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? Like, he didn't even win that round, but they're showing his highlight of him landing that one punch. So that just goes to show you that I knew the fix was in. It was going to be a draw. And shoot, that's not the first time they did that. They did it to Terrell Boucher, my Cleveland, Ohio boy, against Austin Trout. So this ain't the first. They robbing my boys. But I ain't want to be long, man. That's pretty much all I wanted to say. It's just funny how some eye goes.
All right, man. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, Ohio.
Yep.
Marcus from Ohio. And you catch Marcus also, too, on Facebook. He does the Ohio Runs boxing memes, and he's got a ton of memes out there. They're all great. He puts out a lot of good boxing content. And what I like about Marcus is he's an Ohio guy that follows, like, the Ohio fighters, and he just does a great job with it. He really does. I mean, he brings a lot of fighters to my attention for sure. And fighters that, like I said, man, I mean, sometimes will pass under the radar. He's got them. So I always like listening to him, and definitely go follow him. Last but not least.
From this day, you'll be my new fool.
Hey,
Georgie.
what's happening, people?
George.
Yeah. Yo, listen, bro. Before I forget, shout out to the chat. The chat being magnificent. I can't wait for you, like you say, Eric, to put the chat comments on the screen, because a lot of people listen to the show. They don't open the chat, but a lot of good conversation happen in the chat. Shout out to the chat.
Yeah.
Talking about the chat, Mario G, he said it better than anybody. A triangle theory don't work. It don't make fights. That says it all. All that trifecta, this guy for this and the other guy for that, don't mean shit. That don't mean anything. Until the two men that are going to contest on that fight don't get in the ring and duke it out, we really don't know. It's all what I believe or I test. Now, talking about I test, what the fuck you was saying, Eric? You talking about who going to beat Loma? Who you said beating Loma?
I didn't say anybody beat Loma.
Eric?
Devin Haney.
Haney? Listen, brother.
Yeah.
Before you even go there, before that thought even come on your brain, you gotta let us know when Haney fighting somebody with a pulse. With a fucking pulse! Sounds so clearly enough.
We'll find out soon enough, man.
What are you doing?
I didn't say he could beat him now,
baby. Huh?
No, I said I didn't say he could beat him now.
Baby.
I said that in the future this guy beats him. I think he's one of the guys, man.
He's not gonna fight nobody for at least a year and a half to two. And by the time the Loma fucking fight comes, Loma gonna be out of his prime or he's way out. That's just not even happening. Huh?
Well, whose fault is that? Whose fault is
nobody's fault. It's nobody's fault. But
there you go. But it's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. And I think Devin Haney beats Loma when they fight, if and when they fight.
Well, let's leave it there, because you go and fight doctor on me. I ain't wasting time on that. Right? We ain't going there. Listen, I've been a Loma hater for fucking years. Do you guys remember why I hate Loma? Why I don't like Loma?
No. I do not.
I said it many times here, many times. Nobody recalls. Let me refresh your memory. The notion that Lomachenko got pushed by these fucking mafias to have 2 title fights on the 4 professional fights is outrageous. This motherfucker come out of the fucking woodwork, bypassing Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. And everybody who was fighting for his position to go be number 10, cracking in the top fucking 10 to be fucking the mandatory, got away because this fucking mafia chose to do that. Brother, I don't know, but he seemed a little unfair to me. The man got all the skills in the world, and his record cannot be doubted. That I will not take from Lomachenko. He's great, but the way he made it where he at, he doesn't deserve it. He do not deserve it. That's why I don't like Lomachenko, and I probably will never going to be a fan of him because of that. And that's the little thing that people allegedly who love boxing seems to forget and get amnesia, and they don't fucking think about it. So when a motherfucker come in the fucking grocery store and jump on the line, you better shut the fuck up. That's all I'm saying. Now, what the fuck happened with that Lara PBC bullshit with Alvarez? What the fuck was that? What was that?
Mismatch.
Cricket!
Mismatch.
Cricket!
Mismatch.
Let me get my crocodile on cricket. Listen, bro.
Another check before I forget. What's going on with Porter and Arrow?
They're going to fight.
Have you noticed something? There is no boss. Nobody talking about it. Ain't nobody giving a fuck about that shit. Nobody cares. Ain't that supposed to be pay-per-view? Hello?
When do they fight? Yeah, when do they fight? Is it in October?
No.
Right?
September 28th.
September 28th? We still got some time. And I mean, everybody knows they're fighting. I mean, I don't know. There isn't, the buzz ramps up the sooner it goes too, but I mean, they're doing the 24/7s and everything now and everything like that.
It's all Fox pay-per-view, so they'll push it.
Yeah.
I know when it comes to PBC, for some reason, you guys got a lack of vision. So let me fucking explain this to you guys. What's going on? That's just supposed to be pay-per-view. You remember last week I asked you when the fuck Wild is fighting Ortiz on the rematch? It seems that on the PBC side, finally somebody fucking live boat went on. They know that train wreck is coming. They know Arrow ain't no pay-per-view star because Mikey brought these fucking Mexicans to Texas and whatnot. Shout out to Mexico, by the way. They support the sport. There will be no fucking boxing in the U.S. without them. Straight up. So, that being said, PBC seen this shit coming. They saw it coming. Now they are on panic mode. They're not going to release those pay-per-view numbers because we know nobody's going to watch that shit. Ain't nobody give a fuck about that shit. That's not going to fly. And that Ortiz, Wilder, that's what they're going to wait for those fucking pay-per-views to show up. And when they see that shit flop, that Ortiz, Wilder is fucking going to do the same shit. It's going to flop. Then some of these fight, listen, what do you know that these YouTubers, they're going to fight and they're going to have, the fuck Billy Ho. Billy Ho going to be on the undercard. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Billy Joe Saunders?
Yeah, he's going to fight on the undercard of, Chad, help me out on this shit. Paul, he's fighting Paul and the other cat. Who the fuck are these? Well, anyway, he's fighting these YouTubers. And they're going to make it a pro. They're going to fight as pro. Because this motherfucker got mass following. And I think the day is supposed to be the day that Wilder's supposed to fight Ortiz. It's around that neck of the woods. These people are on war. And Eddie is lining all his guns against these PBC people. He's lining all his guns against these people. Watch it. I can't wait for the next 6 months to pass by. Because you guys going to see a big change and shit on that side of the fucking woods, on that PBC side. Anyway, I don't have much to say. I just want to tell everybody out there to support the channel. It's really important. These people here doing a beautiful thing. And anything you can, if all you can do is to come up, hit us with a thumb up. That being said, great show, great goals. We need more new callers. And now that you guys are going to have a time frame, it's going to be like from 7 to 9 or overtime, right?
Right, correct.
All right, so I would suggest to try to give more even time to the callers so everybody got, the two cents to put in. Because we cannot, with all the respect with the fight doctor, we can be coming here every time Lomachenko come and hating on this man for fucking 20 minutes. I mean, I love the fight doctor, but come on, bro. The same shit that you see wrong with Lomachenko record is Wilder's record. It's Arrow fucking record. It's a bunch of people who got worse record, have done less than Lomachenko, and you don't say a peep about it. Fucking see with Lomachenko, Triple G. What is it about these two guys that you say they don't fight nobody? You don't talk about fucking the other guys. They got worse records than them. Baby, that's bias at its finest. And we cannot be here fucking 20 minutes pounding that shit, you know, every time this guy fights. It's like silly. I gotta go. Shout out to the USA, to the UK, to the world. I'm out.
Georgie. Boy, that connection at Rikers is just bad. Did you notice his connection? That was terrible. I almost cut him off. Cut him off because his connection was that bad. That was horrible. Horrible. Jerome King, thank you so much. He says, thank you again for your content and giving the callers a voice. Of course, man.
No doubt.
Of course. Absolutely, man. We appreciate it. Appreciate it so much. All right, real quick. We're going to go over the fight schedule for next week. There's really not much to go over. September 5th in Los Angeles on ringtv.com. Azat Hovhannissian versus Franklin Manzanilla, 12 rounds junior featherweights. And you believe in New Orleans, it's not going to be televised. K9 Bundridge, Cornelius, K9 Bundridge versus Javier Garcia, 8 rounds junior middleweights. What's he doing still fighting?
That's crazy.
Right? That's it. So literally 0 fights to watch. I mean, we'll have all the updates on them, but 0 fights that I'd like to see anyway. Hamed92 is asking, he said, hopefully Robbie's back. Robbie's not back. Robbie, Ringside Robert, if you guys haven't heard, or because we still get like a lot of people asking about it. Just creative differences. He went his way, we went ours. So that's the story with Ringside Robert. And he's off doing his thing, and we're off doing ours. So there you go. Let's see here. News and rumors, not much here either. It's a slow news week. One thing that did come about, though, Regis Prograis and Josh Taylor will fight at the O2 Arena on October 26th. Looks like that World Boxing Super Series contract is pretty ironclad, man. Prograis has agreed to terms and will fight Josh Taylor at the O2 on October 26th. This is the fight. That fight is good enough. I'll tune in just to watch that.
Without a doubt.
But here's the undercard. The undercard blew me away too. The co-main is going to be Joseph Parker versus Derek Chisora.
Great fight.
Solid fight. Ricky Burns versus Lee Selby. I like that fight. And Lawrence Okoli versus Yves Nagabu, who's 20-0, 14 knockouts. Tone, thank you so much. He said, good show, fellas. We appreciate the love. Let's see here. Joe Lopez said Robbie wanted to take the show to AM radio. There you go. Joshua and Ruiz has a 3-day press tour. This week, Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz will be promoting their December 7th fight. On Wednesday, they'll be in Saudi Arabia. On Thursday, they'll be in New York City. And then in London on Friday. All right. Here's an interesting one, Beeb. And tell me your thoughts on this. Maurice Hooker says he's moving up to welterweight and looking for the big fights like Crawford, Spence, etc. But realistically, I'm going to ask you this, Beeb. Realistically, can he make a run at welterweight?
It's going to be tough. I don't think he's big and strong enough for some of those guys up there.
I don't think so either. I think he's a little bit too, he's got the skills for sure.
Just about the durability.
Yeah. There's some animals up at 147.
He's a thin guy too. He's not a real big, stocky, strong guy either.
Yeah, and he took quite a loss in his last fight. So I don't know, man. So moving up in weight, maybe he was.
He said he was having problems making weight. So
man, sometimes they move on they move up in weight, and it is what it is. I mean, they do great sometimes, not so great. Most of the times,
it'd be interesting to see what happens up there.
Not so great. Not a bad move. I mean, what else is he going to do?
Yeah.
All right. That'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Joe Habib on Twitter at JHabib1. Find our YouTube channel at ringsidereporterlive.com. I'm at Ringside73 on Twitter, and we will see you next week.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you for Talk Radio. Goodbye.